Good morning, Raptor freaks. Lexiot's here. It's Monday, and we're doing a Monday moment. And today's Monday moment is celebrating 3 years ago today. The Raptors drafted the first ever player from Toronto to Raptors in the draft. We had gotten Canadian players before. I think this was even the first Canadian we had drafted. But not only that, it was Canadian from our city, Toronto. Number 45, Dalano Banton, Rexdale Bus. It's the same draft that we drafted Scotty and David Johnson. But I wanted to, since it's Olympics and everything's so Team Canada right now, I want to put a spotlight on Dalano Banton and his important place in the history of the Raptors as far as being the first player drafted from Toronto by the Toronto Raptors. And of course, Dalano has been to two teams since us at this point. He was on Boston for a bit, and now he's on the Portland Trailblazers. And he's with young Canadian Shaden Sharp on that team. So we'll have to see. I wish Dalano the best in his career. A homegrown product, fruit from the tree of the Air Canada Carter influence on Canada. Dalano Banton. Yeah. In some ways, he's got a lot of promise, but we got to wonder about, will he ever find it? Who knows? We'll have to see. He's got a very unique body for the NBA, and he's been, some people have really, we'll have to see. Portland may not be the place where he'll get it out of him, but he's in Portland, and that's where just he is. Now, there was a lot of speculation at the end of this year whether he got a ring from the Celtics for their championship because he did get traded in the middle of the season. Some people say that he did get a ring, and it's up to the team whether they want to give rings to people that were there the whole year. Of course, the Raptors decided when they won the championship that they wouldn't give rings to Jonas Valanciunas, CJ Miles, and DeLon Wright because they got traded for Marc Gasol halfway through the season, even though they played half the season for the Raptors in our championship year. It's a weird situation. In some ways, maybe the Raptors should have given rings to all the people that played for them that year. They didn't, but apparently Boston did. I don't know. I don't know how it all works. In some ways, I don't know what to believe. Some people on Reddit very much believe that Dalano Banton has a Boston Celtics championship ring, but I don't know if that's actually true, guys. I don't know if that's actually true. So, yeah, we celebrate you, Dalano. A great Canadian and great Canadian history moments. Heritage moment for Dalano Banton getting drafted by the Raptors 3 years ago today, July 29th, 2021. Yeah. All right. There's your Monday moment. Tomorrow, I'll be on very early. We will be covering the Australia-Canada game, senior men's basketball. 7:15 is when the game's it's starting real early. So we'll be getting up real early, and I'll be calling the game live first thing in the morning. Then, of course, on Friday, we have Spain, the third game in our Group A matchups. And, yeah, I'll be covering that one also. That game is going to be around 11 in the morning. So no early. It'll be a little bit later than the regular stream on Friday. So, yeah, that's a little bit of what's coming up this week. And, of course, there'll be more games after that. Probably on Monday will be the fourth game that they have to play in the Olympic play. We'll have to see who they have to play as far as the points and the standings dictate how it is. All right, let's check in with the chat. And Trevor J's in first, the Commissioner of Fun, Trevor J. Good morning, Raptors family. Faith is taking the first step, even when you can't see the whole staircase. Wow. No, this is true. And in some ways, I'm really having to live this way right now, Trevor, where you can't have exact plan all figured out and laid in front of you. You've got to kind of wing it or improvise or make the best of as things come. And there's a little bit of that going on right now, especially in the world and different things. There's a lot out there happening. The world's in flux, and we can't control it completely. So we got to kind of see how things settle. And this year is a really crazy year. It's an election year in the United States. So this applies to what you're talking about right here. Yeah, Trevor's saying Canada women's senior basketball team versus France at 11:15 this morning. All right, so the Canadian women are going to play France at 11:15 this morning. Good stuff. There's the advertisement on Twitter. I see Natalie on there. That's fantastic. You can watch the game on CBC and CBC Gem. 8:15 a.m. start out on the Pacific time where Tom Dookie is. Yeah. France, Canada, senior women's basketball. There you go, Canada, and beat France there too. Canada's been doing good against France lately in basketball. That's right. That's right. Shaq Lindsay has returned to the chat. Shaq Lindsay, have you gotten over your Zach LaVine stuff? Hello, Jack Armstrong. Cowboys saying, good morning, Lex and Raptor Freaks. Banton was the first, but he won't be the last. Let's grow Canada. Yeah, he was the first Toronto, first Canadian. He won't be the last. I think the Cowboys exactly right. The influx is coming. In fact, Monique put an interview in our chat yesterday that's old. It came out last year in December, but it's one that I hadn't really watched yet with Damon Stoudemire, who's the first Raptors superstar, or star as he put it. He's not really a superstar. He's just the first Raptors star, and Vince Carter was the first Raptors superstar. But that interview with Quentin Richardson and Darius Miles was amazing. And I hadn't seen it. I appreciate Mo for showing it. But talking about first for the Raptors, our rookie of the year, the first year we were in existence, Damon Stoudemire, really interesting his takes on things. He really is a smart guy. And, well, much like T-Mac and maybe even Vince to a degree, he has regrets about leaving Toronto. The thing that Damon said that was so interesting in this interview was that he didn't realize how much he was in charge in Toronto when he was with Isaiah here. He said that he really loved being here in Toronto, that he really took it seriously. He loved being an international NBA star. He loved, his relationship with Isaiah. He revealed that early on in the Raptors' history, when Isaiah was thinking about trading Willie Anderson and Carlos Rogers, he came to Damon and actually asked him before he traded them. He said, I want to know whether you are okay with me trading Willie Anderson and Carlos. And because you know why Isaiah asked him is because when Isaiah was young in his NBA career, he had a really good mentor in Greg Kelser. And they traded Greg from the Pistons, and it really upset Isaiah. So as Isaiah got older, it became the team president of the Raptors, the original team president. He felt a duty to talk to Stoudemire about trading people. So even that early on in our team, we were giving superstars we were asking them about what we were doing with our team. So, we still do this. Obviously, a lot of stuff that we do as a front office is consulted through people like Scotty. And before that, people like Fred and Siakam. Yeah. So very, very interesting stuff that Damon revealed in this interview from last Christmas. It's an old interview. I just hadn't seen it till now. The other thing he said is he really does regret going to Portland, even though that was his hometown. And Isaiah got kicked out or had to leave the Raptors as the president. He was loyal to Isaiah. So he said, I don't really want to be in Toronto anymore. But he realizes that was foolish of him because he was the franchise player. He was the thing that everything was set up and built around. And when he went to Portland, he wasn't that anymore. He lost that status. So he asked that very much, just like Tracy McGrady, that what if? What if I hadn't left Toronto? What could have been possible? And then David even espoused me even further on. It's like I would have been with Tracy McGrady, Marcus Camby, and possibly Vince Carter. That team is nuts. And as Damon said, the Raptors were so good at drafting early on in their history. That wasn't the problem. The problem was we draft these guys, and these guys didn't want to stay. So he really does have that what if. What if I'd stayed with Tracy and Marcus Camby? And Vince Carter came and showed up all of a sudden. What if? Exactly. That's why you don't want no what ifs. And realize, there's levels to this. I'm sure Damon showed up in Portland with the Trailblazers, and it's like, man, I'm just another guy on this team. I'm not the thing that everything is centered around and revolving around like he was in Toronto. So, yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy how that kind of stuff happens. It really, really is. So, yeah, that's an interesting interview. Thanks for Monique for sharing it. And Cowboys put Monique on blast. I love it. I love it. Shaq Lindsay's got some comments today. Let's see what he's saying. Let's be honest. Okay, Shaq. When you start like that, I don't know if you are going to be honest, but let's see. Some things that the front office hasn't been this year. Wait, let's be honest. Some things that the front office hasn't been this year. What does that mean? And next year are going to be crucial in drafting the right pieces to put our franchise back on the map. That's why we haven't made any trades or free agency signings. I don't even know exactly what you're trying to say. Listen, Shaq Lindsay, if you really want to know what's going on with the team, because this seems to be like a problem with some people that don't understand what the Raptors are doing from year to year. They always want to cloud suspicion or confusion. What is the front office doing? What are they doing? Oh, they don't know what they're doing. No, they know what they're doing. It's just that they're flexible and they have a lot of different directions they can go into. Now, we've made a direction. We made one in the last year. We traded Siakam, we traded Anunoby, and we're building around Scott. It's very simple. Now, the thing that people may not understand is we've got the players that we need to excel and be very good. There'll be some people think, oh, we need to go get more stars. We need to go get more talent. Bullshit. Y'all are overlooking Emmanuel Quickley and RJ Barrett and just how good these guys can be. And you're also forgetting that Scotty is exponentially going to get better and better over the years to come, coming up real soon. So I don't know what you're trying to say, Shaq Lindsay. If you're trying to be critical of our front office, well, you know what you're going to get from me when you do that. So, I mean, I'm glad you're back in the chat, but I will say be more clear with what you're trying to say, especially if you're trying to criticize our front office, because I want to cut it up real nice and eat it like a steak if you do want to serve me that plate. How about that? There you go. There you go. Listen, first of all, the free agency signings, listen, the Raptors rebuilded through the draft this year. It was all about that second day of the draft. Jamal Shed, Ulrich Komsche, Jonathan Mobo, Brandon Carlson. That's what it's all about right there. We're on a bottom level now with the youth movement. We have a very, very young team, and they're going to have to learn. And they're going to learn, and they're going to be badass. Jacoby Walter at 19, that's a steal. Oh, my gosh, that's a steal. So you can look at free agent signings. Okay, we didn't do that department this summer. Maybe next summer we do more free agent signings. But this summer was about the draft and a reload with youth. So I don't know. What do you want? What do you want? What do you want? Seriously. When is it going to be good enough for you, Shaq Lindsay? Let's just put it that way. There you go. Trevor's saying KD looks scary. 23 points on 9 shots. Yeah. I didn't watch the game. I saw the box score. I looked at it afterwards. And yeah, USA shot phenomenal in that game. Shot phenomenal. 60-something%. Kevin Durant in particular, 8 of 9 from the field. Oh my gosh, that's crazy. That is crazy. In some ways, I wrote a message to Kevin last weekend trying to be encouraging to him. Well, maybe I shouldn't have done that because he played almost perfect. LeBron really perfect too, playing really well within himself. Very interesting stuff in that USA game. They did blow out Serbia. In some ways, Serbia was okay when Jokic was on the court, but the time when Jokic was out of there, wow, they outscored them by the all 26. In fact, they were even when Nikola's on the court. The USA and Serbia score even when Nikola's off the court, plus 26 for USA. Isn't that crazy? One player can help that team so much. And when he's not out there, and that just shows how crazy the USA is talented-wise as far as they can stack points really, really quick in a short amount of time. How long do you think Nikola was off the court in that game yesterday? Like 9 minutes. That's it. That's all it took to get a plus 26 on them. I liked the start. I mean, Serbia came out there and jumped all over them and made it look good, 10-2 all of a sudden at the beginning. But yeah, after that, nothing after that. And USA just going to work. You know, this is the thing. Steve Kerr understood in some ways, man, maybe my team doesn't have enough role players. So Kawhi, you're not coming. I'm bringing in Derek White because I know that this guy is a role player and he'll do his thing. So that's it. Very interesting that Jason Tatum did not play in the game. There's a funny thing in our chat about somebody saying that Steve Kerr is playing master level Phil Jackson kind of manipulation stuff with the Boston Celtics as far as like not putting Jaylen Brown on the team. And Jaylen is like pissed about it. Honestly, he called out Grant Hill for something. He said that you're calling me out for being a troublemaker and a conspiracy theorist. That's why I'm not on USA Basketball. Grant Hill said something about Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown didn't like it. And, well, that's interesting. He's the finals MVP. 3 of his teammates are on the Olympic team, but he is not. And then Steve Kerr's benching the other guy that's important to the Celtics and playing the other two guys. Are you trying to start some things, problems for the Celtics? I'm all for it, Steve Kerr, if you are. I'm all for it if you're trying to cause some crazy ass shit. He said after the game, I felt like an idiot not playing Jason Tatum, Coach Kerr. It's not, they took this comment out of context. They're trying to put it in a way that, oh, the Celtics fans will be happy because he said that. No, he said that in the way that he's like, I have to sit. I can't play everybody, and I had to make tough decisions. And I decided I wouldn't play Tyrese Halliburton and Jason Tatum. There's 10-man rotation in a 40-minute game. That's the most you can play. And somebody was going to have to sit. And I purposely did it. It's not like I've screwed up. It's not. That's what they're trying to make it sound like in the press. Oh, I'm an idiot. I forgot to put Jason Tatum in. No, he did it calculated. And he's saying that in some ways it's so weird to bench a player of the caliber of Jason Tatum that he felt like an idiot doing it. But it wasn't the idiotic thing. It was the right thing to do. But it's very interesting. Somebody was going to have to sit. And, well, it's Tatum. He said for sure he's going to play on Wednesday. Yeah, you don't want to hurt his feelings. Don't want to hurt Deuce's dad's feelings. So stupid. Oh, it's so dumb. But good job, KD. And, yeah, this is interesting. Serbia may have been one of the toughest tests. Well, let's see what happens next. South Sudan, another chance to try and beat the USA team. They came close. They came real close. Shaq saying, it's not that we want to be bad, but we don't want to be good either. Okay, I'm not talking this kind of fucking way. Seriously. I go the way Scotty's going. Scotty's going to decide whether we're going to be good or not. And if Scotty wants to get a bunch of wins this year, I'm with him. I'm getting in the car and we're going, no question asked. I'm not playing this Cooper Flag tank bullshit, Shaq Lindsay. I'm sorry. And this is the beginning. We haven't even started the season. You have to see how good barbecue is. You have to see how it tastes. And before you decide you want to turn the oven off and start it up next year again. No. We don't do this. In some ways, we don't premeditate losing to try and get a high draft pick. That's loser talk, Shaq Lindsay. That's loser talk. Drafting in the top 10. See, one here. Drafting in the top 10 this year, 2025, and maybe next year in 2026. See, I ain't forecasting what you're forecasting, motherfucker. No, Shaq Lindsay. Thank you for your membership, but no. Thomas the Tank Engine. Take your damn ass out and down the road. Seriously, I will kick you out of this channel again. Seriously, if you talk your tank talk. Talk that talk and see how far you get with it. Seriously. All right, let's see. With an already young core of RJ, Quickly, Dick, and Scott is the what is he saying? I don't. He stopped this comment. All right. This is what we're doing, Shaq Lindsay. We're not pre-designating whether we're trying to win or lose before the season starts. We're going to go to the games with our coach, Rajakovic, and we're going to try our ass off to try and win. If we add up to winning, well, that's good. We're going to compete, and we're going to try and win for the whole season. Now, if we are not getting to that place of winning because it's not adding up or working right or there's injuries or something like that, then we will get what we get naturally. Everybody trying to have control over what the fucking Raptors are going to do. Y'all need to shut the fuck up and just watch the games as fans because we're going to do what we're going to do. And we're not on the schedule makers. We're not the people that say, Scotty, you got to do this, this, and this by this time. No. He's on his own time. And so is Emmanuel Quickly. So is Grady Dick. So is RJ Barrett. So let these young men who are very young go ahead and start cooking on their temperature and their timetable that they need to be. Because that barbecue is going to taste good when it's done. But if y'all going to be impatient at the cookout, well, you go ahead and go swing on the swings for a little while. How about that? I'm just saying, seriously, no, we're not premeditating anything. I don't give a shit about some guy who sounds like a G.I. Joe action figure. I don't give a shit about that. No, I don't give a shit about any draft pick. Once again, these draft picks do not come and save your team at this point. They come into the league unprepared, not disciplined, not knowing how to fucking play the NBA the right way. So who the fuck is waiting for them, Tina Turner? We don't need another hero from the draft, motherfucker. We will win with our young core that's coming up, and we will let them grow the way they're supposed to. Jacoby Walter at 19. Boom. We get a nice top 10 draft pick at 19. You're going to see that in the next couple of years, Shaq Lindsay. The Jacoby Walter is a real deal Holyfield, and he's going to be a badass, and he's going to be such a value at 19. Think OG Anunoby, all right? How about that? OG Anunoby, where was he drafted by the Raptors? Why did he fall there? Because he was hurt for the Hoosiers in Indiana in his last senior year. Nobody was scared. They were scared to take him. So he fell out of the top 10. He should have been a top 10 player in that draft. You know OG Anunoby should have been a top 10 player. So Jacoby Walters is the same damn shit. We don't need to fucking draft high to get good players. Where did we draft Siakam? Where did we draft Fred VanVleet? Nowhere. So get out of here with your tank shit. I'm going to say that right now. Seriously. Cowboys saying, we've done lots of trades, Lindsay. OG, Spicy, P, McDaniels. The front office ain't done. The Raptors are back. Trust them, Messiah. I love that. See, I love this. Listen. When Emmanuel and Scotty have been asked about how good they're going to be next year, they're not buying your bullshit, guys. They're not saying, oh, we're going to be horrible and we're going to lose on purpose to try and get Cooper Flagg. Nah. These guys are going to want to fucking win. You think they're wasting their young lives trying to fucking roll over for the other teams on the other side? No, these guys want to fucking win. They're going to show up every single day and work their asses off. When there's game days, they're going to put it out there and fucking try and get that W. So don't even try and cap this. Think about it, if the Raptors were a youngster, like your child, and you're taking them to school, first day at first grade. You know what? I want you to get all Fs so you can be held back next year and you can go ahead and do another year of first grade. What kind of parenting is that, Shaq Lindsay? What kind of parenting is that? You can tell that young man to go to school and excel and get W's, and he will. And that's what I'm saying to Emmanuel Quickley and Scotty Barnes and RJ Barrett. Let the young men go to school and take other people to school. Take them in the school bus like RJ will, bullying his way down to the lane. Let them win and succeed on their own schedule and their own time and their own ability. Nah, we ain't putting a cap on things. We ain't going to go have a meeting with Darko later after a game, say, you won this game, Darko. What are you doing? We don't want you to win. Who the fuck is going to go tell Coach Rajakovic not to try and win and coach our team to wins? Who the fuck is going to go tell him that? I'm not going to go tell him that. I won't say that on this channel ever. Never, ever. That's right. Monique is here. Good morning, Raptor Freak crew. Dalano being selected by the Raptors was awesome. Just ended too quickly. Yeah, I mean, in some ways, listen, this is what they say about Toronto. If you do not come in and with the right kind of things, in some ways, you'll be gone at some point. Yeah. We hold on to the people that are working right and fitting in right and a part of the culture in certain ways. I'm not saying that Dalano was a bad guy. I think he's an amazing young man. But in some ways, maybe it was Nick's fault that he dropped the ball with Dalano Banton in his development in his second year as an NBA player, because he was doing it on purpose. He was screwing up Dalano and Koloko at the same time and the team in general. Yeah, it is what it is. At least he got to be a Raptor right away and play for the Raptors. He did. He got that, and that can't be taken away. And we don't know, Mo. Things can always swing around and come back. And Banton could wear that Raptor jersey again before the end of his career is over. I mean, we don't know. Bryce is here. Good morning, Lex and Raptor Freaks. Good morning to you, Bryce Lawson, holding it down in the K-Tuck in the Bluegrass State, a homeland of basketball in the United States. Kentucky, baby. Let's go. Cowboys saying, I think butthole head, butthole face, butthole eye, Nick Nurse messed up Banton being with the Raptors mostly, but it is what it is. I wish him luck. Yeah. I mean, it's kind of a fun core in Portland. In some ways, Banton fits it. He fits it. Their youth movement. Who knows? He has a chance to flourish and do something there. I will say this. I think Portland's going to go nowhere because in some ways they don't have good leadership there. Their front office is all messed up. And they've kind of got like Washington last few years. Washington had all the discarded players. Like the Wizards would get it. I always called them like the island of misfit toys from like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer or something like that. In some ways, Portland's becoming the West end of that. You know, with Ayton showing up. And it's just kind of like their team is kind of guys that are like, kind of cast-offs from other teams is what I'm saying. So, yeah, let's see. Let's see what else y'all are saying. Shaq Lindsay is saying this next. Let's see what he's saying. Is the plan they don't want to say? No, the plan's very obvious, Shaq Lindsay. Why don't you just fucking open your eyes? Why are there Raptors fans who can't open their eyes and look? I'll explain it to you if you can't see it. If you can hear it, can you hear it? Can you hear it in your ear canal? I'll explain it to you. If you really fucking want to know what the fuck the Raptors are doing, since you don't seem to understand the last couple years, this is what they're doing. I'm going to read the rest of your comment and I'll espouse on top of it. Also, cap flexibility in a strong free agency class next year will help. So that extra $11 million from the departure of Sasha and Freeman that they have, that fans. All right, that's good stuff. What you're talking about there. The fact that we got Venchenkoff to leave without taking any buyout is fucking phenomenal. You want to talk about our front office? Go ahead and talk about that. How many front offices could have gotten that negotiation done? I don't know. The Kings couldn't, and that's why they traded their problem to us, and we took care of it, and we reaped the rewards of increasing our salary cap because he's just off the books. Yeah, and I mean, listen. Once again, we're building around Scotty. Scotty's young. Scotty's going to be our franchise player. Scotty's the guy everything centers around. As Scotty gets better, which he has, he's gotten better every year. Some people say he didn't get better in his second year. He did on the down low. His third year, he definitely jumped. This year, he's going to jump again. And it's going to be in a way that you will be very happy about. It's going to be in this way. I'm going to tell you right now, Shaq Lindsay. Last year, when Scotty hurt his hand, he went to the bench and he sat and he couldn't play. That's the worst for players that are competitive, that just love to be on the court, that just want to be playing all the time. That's the worst, to have to sit there and watch your team lose in front of your eyes. It's such a motivator. It makes you get all pissed off. It makes you wonder about, wow, if I hadn't been hurt, I could have helped them in that rebound or that shot. I could have made that play. That's the thing. He sat on the bench for the last half of the season, and he had people like Garrett Temple, his coaches, Chris Boucher, different teammates around him talking to him. And he learned more about the game because he wasn't in it. This is the thing. We have not seen Scott return to an NBA court since his injury yet. He never came back at the end of the season. We thought maybe he'd come back for one game and try and get a couple of points so he could get 20 average for the season. But that never happened. So Scotty's going to return to the game with a newfound perspective that he found when he was sitting there. He even said at the end of the year, he said, I've been sitting there wondering about how I could help us win. And I've learned more about what it takes to win in the NBA. So don't underestimate that. The fact that, sometimes when you work so damn hard and you're in the middle of it, you don't get a chance to catch up and soak it all in and understand it and let it sink in. Well, Scotty got hurt and he had to sit on the bench for most of the end of the season. And that's where it starts sinking in. Some of the big, huge responsibilities are going to be on his broad shoulders about carrying the Toronto Raptors to wins. And, Garrett Temple is sitting next to him, talking to him. Is like, yeah, Scott, if you were in the game right here, this is when you needed to turn it on and go ahead and start trying to score right here. That's all it takes is that kind of instruction. In fact, that's part of the reason why we re-signed Garrett Temple to our team for this year coming up. The big free agent signing, Shaq Lindsay, was Garrett Temple. And that's because he is very valuable for this team. So think about what I just said, Shaq Lindsay. Think about Scotty getting an outside perspective, being helpless on the bench, and how much that made him want to get back and start winning for the Raptors. You think he enjoyed watching the Raptors lose a streak at the end of the season last year? No, he didn't. And he's going to figure out every kind of way that he can prevent that kind of shit from happening to our franchise in the future. So listen, we don't have a loser mindset up here. We say that we're win so many times per minute. That's the Masai Ujiri way. And Scotty's that way. Emmanuel's that way. RJ's that way too. We're not wasting our lives to wait around for some Cooper Flag, G.I. Joe motherfucker to come and save us. We're going to do it ourselves. And whoever gets picked up on the side coming up while we're doing it, that will be who it is. But we're not relying on a lottery draft pick to come save us next year. No. If we're that bad and we deserve a lottery draft pick, we'll go ahead and get it. But otherwise, I want to win. I want to go to the playoffs. I want to fucking go as far as we can with our barbecue era. Yeah, we're not telling our little kid going to school, yeah, get all Fs, Johnny. Get really shitty, do bad at spelling bee. Yeah, I want you to kick your teacher in the shins. What kind of parenting is that? You want your child to excel. Not do that other shit. Yeah, that's what I'm saying right there. The flexibility you're talking about, well, we have it right now. Forget about next year. There's still stuff they can do right now. We have an open roster spot right now because we got rid of Freeman Liberty and Venchenkoff. And we've got money. And there's still the dubious situation with Christian Coloco. And, there's still some names out there that we could get and they could come in and it could be a little bit different what our team looks like with another name or two added before training camp. So I don't think we're done for the summer. First of all, I think that it's very likely we're going to re-add Coloco to our team. So we have to see what happens. Trevor's saying Delano got a chance to shine in Portland. And he's looking like the player that we wanted him to be for the Raptors. Yeah, he did blow up a little bit more once he got to Portland and got more minutes. There's some fantastic games he's had, some really good scoring games. So, yeah, it is what it is. He's just got to find consistency. And, as always, he needs to strengthen his body. As he strengthens his body over the years, the better. It's in some ways he's built like a greyhound, and it's really hard for him to put that muscle on his body, just like Chris Boucher. Cowboy saying, what's your thoughts on the Olympics opening, Raptor Freaks? Yeah, all right. This was a big to-do about nothing, Cowboy. This was, in some ways, this was a trap for very crazy people that are very religious to get jumped into it. That scene that they made at the open ceremonies was not the Last Supper. Everybody, and this is the funny thing, Christians are so like everything's about them. That's not what that was. And if anybody's offended by what that was, y'all need to know that that was the Dionysian feast of the Olympics, of the Greek Olympics. That the Greek god Dionysus is about celebration, is about drinking wine and acting and, having a very hedonistic lifestyle. And that piece of art that they recreated in drag at the opening ceremonies is actually nothing to do with Christianity, nothing to do with the Last Supper. That's all bullshit. And they got that one side of things really upset right now, but they don't really know what they're fucking talking about. That's the hilarious thing. A lot of art around that period of time had those wide, like, portraits of people and like gathered at a table. It's Last Supper is not just its own fucking thing. That's the only one that does that. So they're all off base with their criticism because they don't even know what they're talking about. This is totally apropos for the French Olympics. Now, I can understand some people being upset about seeing people in drag and, oh, my children, don't let them see them. All the people that don't want drag people telling their kids stories in libraries. Sure, I can understand why people are upset about that. But to understand that it's not drag people making fun of Christianity in the Last Supper, it's actually a very important celebration of Greek culture in the Olympics is what was happening there. So, yeah, people get misinformed. They jump to conclusions. They think it's all about them when it's not. That's basically what that is right there. Good to see Celine Dion out there is what I'm saying. That's right. Celine Dion. Near, far, wherever you are. I should not do that. I should not do that. There you go. Shaq Lindsay saying, I want them to spend. Sorry, folks, that money ain't going nowhere. That money ain't going nowhere. Well, we'll have to see. We'll have to see, Shaq Lindsay. In some ways, I don't live on the moon. I don't understand the world that Bobby and Masai live in because it's a whole bunch of rules and regulations and things and terrain that the common NBA fan, the Raptors fans can't know because it's proprietary. It's secretive. It's a whole kind of business that we don't need to be knowing every detail about, and we don't know how difficult it is to do things. Once again, there does seem like there are quite a few players in the United States that don't want to play for the Raptors. So it is hard for the Raptors to get certain free agents. It is American xenophobia and dumbassery. Well, you get what you get. And then you got Damon Stoudemire talking about, well, I was an international superstar and I embraced it. And I owe a lot to Toronto. Some people can understand the privilege and the great factors and benefits of playing for the Raptors, but some people don't because they're just dumbasses. In some ways, that you could go and talk to the people that are like, I'm pro going to play for the Raptors, and they probably have a higher IQ than the people that are like, oh, I never want to play in Canada, like Rudy Gay and fucking Andre Drummond. Their IQs are probably very much smaller than a player like, Kyle Lowry or Fred VanVleet. We can go do a study. Let's get all the players that are anti-Toronto and don't want to ever play for the Raptors. We'll put them in one group and we'll see what's their collective cumulative IQ. And we'll go and get the other guys who say they will. And I'll bet you the ones that said that they would play in Toronto and play in Canada, they're all way more intelligent than the ones that say they wouldn't. That may be the easiest indicator of intelligence quotient, IQ. Is, oh, would you play for the Toronto Raptors? No, I wouldn't play for them because it's Canada. It's weird. Okay, well, have you ever been out of the United States? No, I haven't. So I have no idea what I'm talking about. It's that simple right there. It's that simple right there. Monique saying, I was in the arena, of course, when he made that mid-range three from half court. You're talking about Delano? Yeah, okay. Cowboys saying, I believe the front office ain't going to do any big splash moves. We build in which I like and agree with. Yeah. Well, the thing is, we know that there's a time and a place for everything in the moves. And when you make a Kawhi move, well, you're about ready to get there. And then you make a Marc Gasol move, well, you're real close. And we're not at that stage to make the big moves like that. Like we talked a lot about in the last month, Brandon Ingram, and how a deal with the Pelicans would look to get Brandon Ingram on the Raptors. But we all came up with the idea at the end that it's not worth getting Brandon Ingram in the place we're at in the early development right now. This is like something we want to look at maybe in like 2 years, where we want to add more talent to the burgeoning, developing young talent of the barbecue to it then when they're way closer to that point. So it's not time to make a DeRozan for Kawhi move. We've got to do some work and build up in the standings and build up and trying to get in the playoffs. Right now, the Raptors are more like they are when they were around 2014. Exactly right there is where we're at. And it took 5 years to build to the championships. And you got to think about all the years that Lowry and DeRozan and Valanciunas got bounced out of the playoffs in the mid 2010s. So really, seriously, think about this. We're in 2014 right now, where we are right now in 2024. So in some ways, will we be competing for a championship around 2029? Maybe. Who knows? We just got to let the process start over again. A new bench mob be grown on the 905 level under Coach Drew Jones, and we'll see what happens. So that's where we're at right now. That's where we're at. We're growing. And it's not time to make a big splash kind of free agency move yet. It will be in a few years from now, though. Watch. Yeah, Bryce is saying, I think it's so stupid that people are complaining. Jason Tatum didn't play. The goal is to win gold. It's not to make sure Tatum plays. People can't find happiness in anything. Like week one, stop crying. Yeah, I mean, in some ways it's silly. People are going to gripe about anything, Bryce. And you know what? Not everyone can play on the team. And that's why, in some ways, the Team Canada having Melvin Ejim and Ken Burch, they're not going to get upset if they don't get in every game. But somebody on USA is going to get upset if they don't get in. Yeah, that's just how it is. I don't even know if Tatum was that upset. I don't think he was, but I think it's hilarious that he was one of the guys on the outside looking in. Like, seriously, it's interesting. Cowboys saying life begins at the end of your comfort zone. Boom goes the dynamite. Okay, Cowboy, let's go, Banton. I'm proud of you. Hope you stay in the league for a while. There you go. I like that. I like that. Let's see. All right, let me see what I can go look at online. I don't really have a whole lot to talk about on here. There's a rookie picture that was just posted by Raptors admin of Mobo and Shed. Big smiles in their Raptor red. Good to see these guys on there. There's a Jacoby Walter picture. He's looking really like serious. Jacoby's going to be something, I'm telling you. Right now, Jacoby Walter is going to be something. I'm telling you right now. Let me see if there's anything else in the all right, let's do the Instagram stories. Why not? We got Jamal Shed with two young ladies, and they've got a sign that says Shed happens. Shed happens, like shit happens. That's kind of funny. Yeah, but Jamal's been celebrating his birthday for like a week. There's been so many different little celebrations. He just got drafted in the NBA. It's just his birthday. Good things are happening for Jamal Shed. Let's see, DeMar DeRozan showing something. He's been playing in Pro-Ams. He's probably at Drew League. It looks like he's in the back at Drew League. Wubbs is actually, he was in Mexico a couple days ago, but it looks like he's somewhere over in the Middle East. Or is that Mexico too? Maybe they have camels in Mexico. But he's riding on a camel. It's very interesting. And he's out in the desert, and there's cactus. So maybe he is in Mexico riding on a camel. He's either in Mexico or in the Middle East in a desert somewhere. Either way, Wubbs, drink water, stay hydrated, please. Pascal's definitely in his full-on black and white summer mode of July. All the pictures turn black and white on Siakam's social media at a certain point in the summer. Well, he's there with it. He's vacationing. He's in the water. He's there with the palm trees on the island. He's got a cool shirt. It looks like Jay-Z's on it. Yeah, Siakam is living his best life. And keep working hard, my guy. Make the Pacers go far. this season. Seriously, I'm really rooting for you. Yes, sir. Scotty looks like he got some new skates, guys. He is a roller skater. He likes to roller skate. It worries me, but you know what? He got some new skates. He's all about the roller skating. So he wants to get out there and skate. He's going to skate. So live your life, Scott. Just be careful. We don't need any weird, like something happening. I hope to God nothing happens to you. Omari Moore celebrating another one of his friends' birthday. Darius Brown. Happy birthday from Omari. He's always celebrating people's birthdays. And that's about it for the Instagram stories today. There's just a little bit there. Just a little bit there. Let's see. Monique. Cool Cat is here. Good to see Cool Cat in the chat. Coach Cool Cat. Good morning, Raptor Freak crew. Today is the Scotty draft anniversary. Be great for. How about Team Canada women's team beating France 2-1? We will not surrender to the unfair punishment. She's talking about the soccer team. Yeah, it's interesting. That was a big game win by Canada in the women's soccer. The last second winning 2-1 on a day where their former head, Bev Priestman, comes out with a really full of crap message. It's really like she's all about herself. Like she doesn't give a shit about what happened. It's not very much saying she's sorry. In some ways, that letter that came out, she should have stepped down. Why are you doing it on the day they're playing? Why don't you just shut up and go into exile for a little while since you're in trouble and just not say anything for a bit? Let these young women play their soccer games in France, because every time you say something, Bev Priestman, you're bringing this scandal up, and it's messed up. In some ways, this scandal's just gone out of hand. It's so stupid. And the best thing that can happen right now is you step down and you walk away. I think it's so fishy that we let a British woman be in charge of our Canadian women's soccer, and she's like in a partnership with a former player for New Zealand, who New Zealand is the team we just got in trouble for drone spying on. Like somebody's not adding up here. Now, I get it. We've got a Spanish guy coaching our men's basketball team, Jordi Fernandez. We had an American guy named Nick Nurse coaching before, and that bit us in the ass. I get it. I don't want to get all nationalistic and say, oh, we should just have Canadians coaching our Canadian teams. But these two situations with Nurse and Priestman really make me start thinking that. It's like in some ways you could be disgraced as the head of women's soccer in Canada. If you're not from Canada, well, in some ways you can go away and you go live your life somewhere else. I don't understand this. I get this picture of Bev Priestman as she's like Trump. She's got an ego. It's all about her. It's not about the team. And in some ways she look all happy in the success, and she could be the face of bringing it up for getting the gold the last cycle. But in some ways, somewhere she lost it, where it's not about her. It's about them, but she thinks it's about her. So I'm really disappointed in this. She needs to resign right away. And she needs to be like taken as the person who's at fault for this whole thing, because she is. And they're going to say, you're in charge. If you knew people were doing this shit, you are at fault. That's all I got to say. And the young women that are playing, and they're so emotional about winning that game despite getting deducted 6 points because of this bullshit, they're going to try and win it still. And it'd be amazing if they did. But yeah, they're teary-eyed and crying their eyes out the last couple of days because of this controversy, and that they had nothing to do with, and that they're just in the middle of. It's messed up. Leo Routen's coming out on his Twitter saying, y'all do not need to be punishing the players. You need to punish the people that did it and not the players. It's such a messed up thing. And in some ways, we're making more of a big deal up here in Canada than anybody else is. Nobody gives a shit about this dumbass drone scandal. But meanwhile, the Globe and Mail, CBC, all kinds of reporters up here want to fucking put it on blast like their Pulitzer Prize winning or some shit. You're making it worse because you make it more than it is. In some ways, this is a footnote. Nobody gives a shit about this anywhere except for here. And Canada's going to shoot themselves in the foot by making it more of a media storm? Yeah, that's the hockey establishment trying to hurt a rival sport, trying to come up with popularity. Any way they can make basketball or soccer look bad so that little kids, little boys and girls do not pick up those sports balls and start playing instead of hockey, they're going to do it. So this is part of what's going on here. is that in some ways they want to hurt the sport of soccer in Canada through this thing, and the media is all about it. They're licking their lips, and they're the ones carving this up. And it's not even the U.S. media; they don't give a shit. Nobody down there is talking about this hardly at all. It's our own media eating our own. It's like a mouse eating its mouse children. That's what's going on right here. So I would say this, Bev, you need to step down. You are tainted and you are scandalized. And you know what? This could very well be, once again, something just like Ben Johnson, where Ben Johnson takes the brunt of the scandal and all the punishment, but everybody else in the fucking field was doing the same thing as him. Carl Lewis. Oh, I'm getting steroids too. So it's just the Canadian people are nice. They're going to get caught. They're going to get in trouble. They're going to get penalized. They get the scandal. That's what I really do believe this is what this is. And over the years, they're going to find out that other soccer programs were doing the same damn thing. And, oh, Canada, well, you got in trouble for it. Yeah, we are doing it too. It's so messed up. And I'm with you, Cool Cat. It's unfair punishment. And they need to punish the hell out of Bev Priestman, a British woman who's partnered with a New Zealand woman who I don't understand. I don't trust that. I don't trust that right there. It's like, could she sabotage our team on purpose if she just feels like it? Yeah. And that seems like what she did. That seems exactly what she did. Yeah. Tom saying, Kat, that was a great victory for our women's soccer. Odds stacked versus them. Our men's basketball's defense was huge for us. Hoping we get our second W versus Australia. They are looking good. You know, one of the aspects about tomorrow's game and calling it is the Josh Giddey relationship with our guys on our team. You know, he got traded this summer to the Chicago Bulls. He's no longer a teammate of Lugetz Dort and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. So there may be a little bit of a weird thing with Giddey and those guys, because I know they're probably friends and they're probably cool, but who knows? Maybe there aren't. Maybe there's something weird. You know, there's a lot of fallout about SGA and what happened at the end of the game. Greek fans are crazy right now. We thought they were crazy about trying to get Sasha Venchenko waived from the Raptors in our comment sections. Well, they're going crazy, and they're really mad at SGA. SGA put a post yesterday, a lifestyle post about being in the Olympics, cool pictures of him in different clothes, but also from the game. And he put a caption in there that is really, really pissed off Greek fans. He said something like, I'm not running up anymore, I'm walking up. And he's alluding to Thomas Walkup's name, the guy who he blocked in the game and kind of killed in the game. And the Greek fans are mad. They're mad. They're very, very mad. And they're saying that SGA is not being in the spirit of the Olympics, as far as you're humble and you kind of come in and you compete and everybody tries to be, no place for trash talk. So there really is a lot of anger towards SGA coming from that country right now. In some ways, they're upset because they lost. They're very competitive, and they really believe they could go far because of Giannis being on their team. But them losing to Canada really pissed them off. And then seeing SGA like do his little thing at the end of the game, protecting Nickel, and then him posting the thing later, he's become a villain to them. And in fact, Greek people are mad at Canada in general because of that game. They feel like the Canadians are thugs and that they're not honoring good sportsmanship by like the way they're acting, whether it's Dylan Brooks and his normal stuff or SGA and the way things going. I don't agree with them. In some ways, I get it. Maybe there is a tradition of the Olympics to be the bigger person. But you know what? Y'all are full of shit. When you come at him for saying things like what he said about walk up, and then also him standing up for his cousin, and then all of a sudden y'all are coming in the comment section and telling everybody in Greek, fuck your mom, and like, oh, you like crazy stuff that y'all are saying in Greek language. So I don't understand this whole thing. In some ways, SGA has been put on a list with Dennis Schroeder, and he's on like a list of hated people by the Greek team. They hate Dennis too, apparently. And they're saying that they wish all these crazy bad things happen to both of them. So, yeah, the Greek fans are pissed. And in some ways, I love what SGA did. Who the fuck is Thomas Walkup? Yeah, go and come at me, Greek fans. Yeah, who the fuck is he? He's an American guy y'all naturalized. He's not even Greek. He's your mercenary. Y'all are so protective and upset. Oh, how could you talk to the great Thomas Walkup? He is your mercenary. He's just like Hartenstein or whatever, Hankinson for Japan. He's an American guy that y'all hired to come and play for y'all because y'all get one. And y'all are so protective of your Thomas walk-up. Oh, my gosh. Come on now. Come on now. In some ways, the caption was witty. That he's like, I'm not running up anymore. I'm walking up. In some ways, SGA says, you just hating. You were hating, Greek fans. You lost. And SGA was the best player on the court over Antetokounmpo. And you're just hating at this point. It's kind of hilarious in some ways. And SGA's above it all. And Kelly's in the comments on that post saying, geez. And then you can go look at all the comments on SGA's post, and you'll see what I'm talking about, just how crazy angry a lot of Greek fans are at him. It's really, really crazy. Really, really crazy. Yeah, let's keep going. Tom Duke's saying, have a great week, Raptor Freak family. Go Canada. There you go, Tommy Dukey. There you go. He's got me and Mo on blast with the Team Canada logos. I love it. Yeah, you know it, Tom Dukes. Let's go. That's right, Cowboy. Tom's saying, Lex, broadcasting the Olympics should be free for whoever. That chat party had 70,000 views. I wonder why CBC doesn't show it live. What are you talking about? That chat party? What do you mean, the chat party? The one you had the link for that didn't have a visual to it? I'm not totally understanding where your comments coming from. It's just out of the blue. Broadcasting the Olympics should be free for whoever. I agree with this. I mean, this is part of the way things are getting more and more screwed up. You know, cable packages to watch all the Raptors games are expensive. In some ways, that's what they're doing. Well, I agree with you. I think the Olympics should be put on blast all over regular antenna television and not even on cable. It should be put on streaming online. I don't disagree with you, Tom. I don't know where you're coming from with this. That chat party had 70,000 views. Yeah, but it wasn't a visual of the game. It was just people talking about the game at the same time. Yeah, I don't understand your comment, why you're saying this. And CBC is not showing the game live because it's live on TSN. And TSN's a cable channel, and you have to have it on there. I don't know, Tommy. I don't know why the fuck they don't cover Canada basketball correctly in this country. Is maybe because it's a hockey country. Maybe that's why. Other people were duped into thinking that chat party was going to show the game. Glad I still pay for cable. Okay. Yeah, that's why I told you. As soon as I saw it, this is not the game, Tom. I saw it, and I said, this is not the game. Anyway, I don't know why we're talking about this. We don't need to talk about the chat party you put in the link that was like a dead end. If some people want to go in there and talk, I mean, I don't know. I don't get this, Tom. I don't get what you're doing here. Cowboy, you want me to give him an alley-oop for bringing up a chat party that 2 days ago that he mistakenly put in the chat that was useless? I mean, you can go watch and talk to people during the game if you want to be in there, but we were kind of doing that on our stream here. So I don't know. I don't get it. Most saying, I thought with the 30th anniversary approaching slowly, why not share the interview with Damon? I haven't seen the interview until now, Lex. No, I appreciated it because I hadn't seen it either, Mo. And I don't know how it slipped through the cracks that we didn't see it. So I appreciate you posting it, and I did want to talk about it. And I figured because we were talking about Dalano Banton being the first Canadian drafted by the Raptors, why not talk about the first ever guy drafted by the Raptors, Damon Stoudemire? Yeah, it's an old interview. And in some ways, it fell through the cracks. We just didn't get it in December when it came out. But it's very interesting. Damon's such a smart guy. And he really is a true Toronto Raptors alumni that I celebrate and cherish. He gets it. He understands the legacy and the importance. And in some ways, I'm so happy that the very first important star for the Raptors respects and honors his connection to our team. And he still does to this day, even if he was an assistant coach for the Celtics a couple years recently. But I mean, that's a fantastic thing. I wish that Vince could be more like Damon Stoudemire. I really do. I wish Chris Bosh could be a bit more like Damon Stoudemire and understand exactly, y'all are kind of shitting on your own careers when you do not embrace your history as Raptors draft picks and coming to the Raptors as rookies. So that's how I feel about it. Fiercey saying, good morning, fam, and happy Monday. Good morning to you, Fiercey. Good morning to you. Tom saying, barbecue time. No thanks, Shaq. Lex is 100% right. No, you know what? Listen, we're not determining whether we turn the switch to lose or a win. No. Fans don't determine that shit. It's never been about lose on purpose for picks. It's never, ever been about that. The whole time Masai Ujiri's been in charge. Sure, the stuff in Tampa was disappointing, and it happened a certain way, and we got to Scott at the 4th pick. But none of that was intentional. You think we intentionally wanted to play in Tampa that year and have all road games instead of no home games? No. Did you think we wanted to get COVID a couple times that season so that our team would be really bad that year and we didn't have a good record? No. No, that all worked out the way it did because we just had bad luck that year. And we were in a bad geographical position for our team. So in some ways, yeah, y'all can see that and be like, oh, Scotty. But once again, people like Scotty don't come every year. They really, really don't. And trying to just slum as a team to get the point at the end of the year that you're saying, oh, we're a top draft pick because we're in the lottery because we did so bad. That's not the goal, guys. That's not the goal. We let the team win as it's going to on its own growth curve. And if we start winning this year because coach is badass, our players worked so hard this summer and everybody showed leaps in development, so be it. That's what I would say about that right there. Yeah. Cowboys saying good morning to Eye Candy. Good morning to you, Eye Candy. Yes. And Fiercey saying we'll watch women at 11:15. There you go, Fiercey. There you go. Bryce is saying, has there ever been 3 guys to average 20 points on one team? Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's happened in the history of the NBA a few times, actually. It's not totally rare. It's uncommon, but it's not really rare. There's been teams where we came close to doing that in the last couple of years. We really did. Siakam, Fred, and Scotty were all right around 20 points a couple of years ago. So we've come real close to doing this. So Fiercely saying, good morning, Cowboy, a.k.a. Tada. All right, I'll do that. Tada Services, guys. If you live in the greater Toronto area and you're having a job that you need help to do, like maybe you need to clean your area rugs and they're very big. And in some ways, you got to take them outside and beat them with a stick. Well, if you don't want to do that because the area rug's just so crazy to carry or deal with, he'll come and do it. Bradley at Tada, 647-833-6844. Tada is an all-purpose handyman cleaning service. Do it whatever you need done kind of thing. And it comes as low as $89. So, yeah, Tada. That's who you could call. That's right. Yep. Dana saying, good morning, everyone. Good morning to you, Dana. Good to see you. Cowboys saying, let's go. And Cowboys got me on blast. I love it. Infamous saying, salute, freaks. Don't want to breed a culture of losing. It's not the Raptors way. Totally agree with that. Infamous. You practice losing, you get more losing. You can ask Philadelphia that. You can ask them. The process is still going, Cheese, and the process is still processing through losing. The Sixers ain't done jack shit. They're still in the process. People say, oh, the process is over. Embiid is good now. No, it's not. He hadn't won shit. So the process, he was used to losing so long, he hadn't learned how to stop losing. Trevor said, Lex dropped the mixer on the mic. There you go. Yeah. Carlos saying, I love the Monday energy from Lex. I appreciate that, Carlos. A little feisty. In some ways, there's things that bug me in life, and maybe sometimes I take it out on like going off on this channel. Maybe it's not right in some ways. I know. Cowboys saying the Raptors are in a great place. Culture. We back, baby. We just got to see how it is. I mean, I'm not going to blindly say the Raptors are a playoff team this year. I'm not going to blindly say that they're a play-in team, but I'll leave it open to the possibility that we can achieve to those heights. And if we don't, well, in some ways, who expected us to do better? That's the other thing. The league doesn't expect us to be a good team this year. So there's a lot of pressure off of us. And in some ways, as fans, we want to grow and get as achieve as we can. And don't hold it back just because you're worried that a couple more wins is going to hurt us at the end of the year. No, we can't do that. We got to play it exactly right, competitive as we can, because if you practice half-ass, you'll get half-ass results. So we have to go full out. Full out. That's right. Full out. That's right. It's the Raptors' new era. That is right. Let's see. Alley-oop, preach on, bro. All right. I'll give. No, I don't want to. I don't want an alley-oop right now. I'm really going to try and make these dunks a little bit tougher to get. And I feel like in some ways we give alley-oops and dunks so easily. I want to really give them out to some good things. All right, let me see. Where's the chat? It jumped off the place. And I want to make sure. All right, here we are. Stargate saying Cooper Flag ain't saving nobody's franchise, please. Yeah, I mean, that's some people are always saying, like the Spurs fans are already saying they want to lose again this year and try and get him. Like they're already waving their white flag. Why would you do that, Spurs fans? You got Wembanyama. He's going in his second year, and you've got Chris Paul now on your team and Harrison Barnes. You guys may be better this year. And in some ways, y'all wanted to be at the bottom of the league for this year just to get Cooper Flag. What is that thinking? I'm just like, what is that? What is that? Bryce is saying, and there were people complaining we brought Temple back, which is just a shame. People said he's a waste of a roster space. The disrespect. Well, Bryce, once again, we can find out where people are just not knowledgeable fans in all kinds of different areas, whether it's the name Jakob Poeltl, whether it's the name Garrett Temple. You find out opinions on these people from people, and you like kind of find out how deep their understanding of basketball is. In some ways, if they can't understand what Garrett Temple does for the Raptors, well, I don't know how to explain it to them more times than I already have. He's a lawyer. He's a diplomat. He is a guy who's politicking for the Raptors on the sideline. He has instant respect. In some ways, our franchise does not have respect around the league. And Garrett Temple brings respect wherever he goes. And it's with the referees. It's with the opposing coaches. It's with the opposing players. It's with the league itself. So, if all right, look, you can't play all of your roster. In some ways, Garrett is a great in case of emergency pro that'll come out there and play solid minutes and not make a lot of mistakes. But we don't really want him to play. You just say he's a waste of space, but you don't understand all the added benefits you're getting. In some ways, if you have a roster you got to build in a video game, and there's one spot that you know is not going to be playing, but if you have a certain attributes to that player that he still enhances your team and helps you win, even if he doesn't play, wouldn't you want a valuable player like that on your bench instead of a guy who's just sitting there? He doesn't know what he's doing. He's just sitting there taking money. I'd rather have a player that doesn't play that actually adds to your team in all kinds of different ways. So that's why it's like really smart that we have Garrett Temple, because he has a whole bunch of bonuses that don't even have anything to do with whether he gets playing time. And casuals may not understand that. They'll be like, oh, he's so old, he's a waste. Well, you don't know all the shit he's doing behind the scenes. And he's in the players union. He gives us respect. In some ways, he may be, in the long run, going to fight for rights for players that play on the Canadian team in the NBA. Because who knows? There could be all kinds of weird different things that happen because of the Raptors being in Canada. And in some ways, Garrett Temple, being familiar with our specific case as the only team not American in the league, well, if he does become somebody who's important in the Players Association after retirement, or he's involved in the NBA further, he's a great person for us to have had an association with around on our team, and he really respects and loves our team. Well, he'll be looking out for it. Think about it that way, Raptors fans, that in the future, Garrett Temple's position in the NBA could be very important. And the fact that he spent some years playing for our team could be very, very beneficial for us because he understands our position. He understands what our players go through. He understands the difference when you play for the Canadian NBA team. I would say that right there. Bryce is saying, all right, I read that one. Cowboys saying Chef Darko is going to be cooking with these new roster. Yeah, that skillet. Get that skillet out. I love it. Carlos saying it's really a win-win situation. If we are ahead of schedule and win play-ins or get into the top 6, it's an improvement. It's going to be the lottery. We have our pick. It's a good place to be. We got to just go with the flow. And if it's good, let's enjoy it. If it's tough, like the last season and other seasons recently in the last 5 years, well, we just got to go through it. In some ways, we got to just hope and pray that we don't become a team like the Wizards or the Hornets that are just perennially out of it. And we won't be that. We won't be that. Our guys are too good. And in some ways, people can't see that. Well, that's only because they immediately put a discount on any Toronto player. The way that people have talked about OG, Pascal, and Fred, and now the way they talk about them now that they're stateside, that's what I'm talking about. So there's a lot of depth charts and different places they're forgetting conveniently that we have RJ Barrett on our team. I saw the ESPN depth chart earlier this year, and I'm like, they had RJ left off of it and said, what is this team going to do? I'm like, motherfucker, you're leaving off Rowan Barrett Jr. He's on our team. He is playing for us, and he needs to be added into the whole sum of things about how good the Raptors are going to be. And that's the thing that people don't realize is like, it really is the barbecue guys. These guys could get so good in their different ways, and they want to, that they will bring the Raptors up without us acquiring new players. I'm telling you right now. It's going to be like that. Let's see. Fiercely saying tanking mentality is bad, in my opinion. Imagine my daughter having that mindset. Killing the competitive spirit hinders resilience. That's right. You want to go all out, and you want to win. That's right. Cool guy saying, Lex, I knew there would be some people that don't know the history of behind the Paris opening ceremony. I thought it was excellent and creative. Yeah, I mean, it really is kind of one of those things where you're around an egotist and every single thing they think is about them. You know those kind of people. You could be doing something in your everyday life and you're on the street and you're eating something or something, and they're on the streetcar next to you, and they're like, or something. I don't know. It could be all kinds of, you may have a friend that's really clueless and they're really egotistical and they always think it's about them. That's what this is. In some ways, Christians made the Olympic ceremonies, the opening ceremonies, about them when it wasn't even about them. In some ways, it's a really interesting trap for them to fall into. It could be that this is very well designed by the organizers. They're just like, oh, maybe they're going to think this is the Last Supper, and they're getting all in a tizzy. And then we can just say, yeah, this isn't the Last Supper, because it isn't. It's the Feast of Dionysus. So it's very interesting. The boats coming in, very interesting. The players coming in on boats. In some ways, some people are saying it doesn't hit as hard as walking around on the track like the normal Olympics. I mean, I get that. It's kind of awkward. Nameless is here. Good to see Nameless, my Italian plumber friend. It all comes from Egypt. Take it and go. Thousands of years before even the Torah, Moses supposedly freed the slaves from Egypt who were captive for over 1,000 years. See, we're going way back now on this. Way, way back. Fiercely saying, Lex, please don't sing Celine. I'm going to take a dunk away from me because I did that. And I shouldn't have done that. I really shouldn't have. I should have stayed retired singing Celine as she was retired from singing for a while there. 99, back to 99 for me. Back to the Wayne Gretzky number. Bud Dial's here. Good to see Kareem. From my observation about sleep is that everyone does it differently. People sleep on their backs. I sleep on my side. And everyone else sleeps on the Raptors and Team Canada. That's so good. He really is. Jerry Seinfeld would craft jokes. And I feel like Kareem does that to an extent too. 210. I'm going to give you a 3-pointer for that one because that was really good. That was really, really good. He crafted that one. See, this is the thing. He's not just writing stuff in. He's writing it in with the timing. And like, honestly, I've done comedy writing classes. He wrote that for a build to get to the payoff punchline. That is art. So Kareem, you're a real one. You could actually really write comedy because the way you wrote that was perfect. That was the perfect delivery and the perfect write out. Really, really good beats too. Really, because some of it is timing. You want to have the beats with how you say it. And the way you just said that with the 3-part leading up to the last part was perfect. Top notch. Cowboy saying, okay, fine. I believe what you said about the last dinner, Lex. Fine. But having a young kid there being around a man hanging his balls out is not right. What do you mean? That's the way Greek and Roman culture was always. They all wore togas. And there was all kinds of crazy stuff. In some ways, listen, our society's hung up on nudity in a weird way that is kind of like puritanical, and it's really the religious right trying to control us. The society of like Rome, and sure, the Roman Empire fell, was very much balls hanging out everywhere and public washings and very sexual and crazy back then. You've got to understand the source material for the Olympics. Greece was a crazy off-the-wall place. And I mean, I get that. Sure, we're in modern times. Nobody wants to see nobody's testicles on live TV. I get it. Now, they weren't just hanging out. You could see them through the clothing. And if somebody going to see that kind of bulge or that kind, that's you and your eyes going to there. I'm just watching the whole spectacle. But if y'all want to zero in on balls on somebody's costume, you go ahead. It's not like they were free balling and they were dangling and hanging. No, that's not what it was. I mean, I get do you understand what I'm saying, though? That everybody thinking that was the Last Supper is wrong. Now, I get it. People don't like drag people. People are villainize drag and men dressing up as women and vice versa. But see, that's just pure hate. In some ways, that's part of history also. There's always been people that have worn drag since the very beginning. Think about all those founding fathers and people in France that were wearing the makeup and the little powdered wigs and the way that they were dressed. Oh, don't get it twisted. This has always been a part of our culture and our world. It's just that very righteous, right, puritanical people have villainized it and made it into, they've actually been abusive and murderous towards trans and people in drag. So, in some ways, the message of the French people who are left and very progressive is you guys don't want to accept people in drag, people like the RuPaul's show. Well, we're going to put it in your face mainstream here. And this is France. This is how we do it. I mean, I get it. A lot of people can be outraged about that. But I think there's way more important things to be outraged in this world right now, like children starving, a war in Ukraine, a genocide in Gaza. Yeah, there's some things that are way more important to get upset about than just some man's balls through some clothing on TV. And the people who are looking for it, well, you're the perverts looking for it, is what I would say. Listen, children over there in some ways are not stigmatized by nudity like we are over here. It's Europe. They have different standards for nudity and like how we treat the body. We've been taught to think our bodies are evil and gross when they're naked. Well, they're not taught that over there. And that's part of the difference between North America and Europe. And some people say, well, they're heathens then like that. No, they're natural biological organisms like the frogs, the squirrels, and the birds out in the yard that don't wear clothes either. So, I could get on a whole nudist rant here and say, it's not the body that's dirty or ugly. The body is naturally as it is. It's the thoughts in the person's head. Yeah, that's what I'll say right there. Yeah, Shaq Lindsay, you get mad at me, got me all wrong. I have the negativity. I'm not criticizing the moves or lack thereof. Win or lose, we will be better because it's a process. Plus, I hate Cooper. All right, Shaq Lindsay, I'm sorry I came at you like that. I think part of it is from before, listening to talk to you before. So you have a reputation coming in. And I know that that's not fair. You haven't been here in a while. And in some ways, all right, maybe I misread you. I'm very protective of them right now. A lot of people are saying things about Masai and Bobby that I don't agree with. And in some ways, I'm really, really a guard dog for them. And if I really even feel like they're coming at them, well, I'm protected. I'm very protective right now. All right, Shaq Lindsay, I want to apologize to you if I misread your comments and went overboard with my reaction. That's something I do sometimes. It is something I do sometimes. And, we're going to get, like I said, this is a draft summer. It could very well be there's more of a free agent summer in the summers to coming up, where we kind of get to that level of where we're retooling there. Yeah, I haven't even seen Cooper Flag, so I don't know if I like him or not yet. Let's see. Never said tanking. Okay, good. All right, I'm glad you clarified. Cowboy saying, plus, why you hate Cooper? You're not a positive thinker. I don't know. I haven't seen him myself, and it could be that Shaq Lindsay is just saying I'm not even trying to get him. Is what he's trying to say. He's like, I'm not a big fan of him that I'm saying we need to tank to get him. He's just trying to clarify what he wanted to say. And I misread what he was saying. It wasn't totally clear. That's part of it. It wasn't totally clear. And then also, I'm like I said, I'm like a little pit bull for the Raptors front office right now. Because in some ways, I don't like how people criticize Masai and Bobby and try and say they don't do their job well. And I give good examples of how they do their job all the time. That Jalen McDaniels trade is a huge one this recently. Yeah, Fiercely saying low key, retaining IQ has definitely been our offseason free agency signing. He's young, but has opened his mind and saw the opportunities of playing in Toronto. Yeah. I mean, in some ways, people can overlook the Scotty and Emmanuel contract signings this summer and feel like the Raptors didn't do anything summer. But those two things, getting those done, are substantially huge for our team going forward. The fact that we have Scotty till 2029 is amazing, guys. That's huge. That is huge. Yeah, Bryce is saying, well, Shaq, you start off bashing the front office. We all have our preferences. It's not being negative. All right. Either way, I'm glad Shaq Lindsay's back. With all due respect, I apologize for going off on you. I've been doing that to certain people lately. Anybody who's coming at the front office, I'm going back at them. It's just how I am right now. It's just how I am. You want a 3-pointer for Kareem, the butt dialer? Yeah, that was good. Although I gave him a 3 already. I don't want to double him up. He's so high up there right now. Seymour saying, aha, tapping in from the mountain region time. There you go, Seymour. Seymour Pape. See more of that paper. That's right, Sheriff. There you go. Alley up the Shaq Lindsay. No worries. I'll give Shaq Lindsay a dunk for putting up with me misconstruing him. I will give Shaq Lindsay a 3-pointer, actually. Shaq Lindsay is your first 3-pointer of the year. You had 7 last year. You got 3 this year now. That's good stuff. He's saying, not bashing. I'm only being observant. In fact, I like the moves they've made. Because like I said, focusing on the core and flexibility is the key. That's the great thing is like get all these young players. If some of them don't hit, well, we weed them out and we get the new ones in and we just keep trying to put new people in those spots as they work and as they fit. And in some ways, what's happening in the NBA with the new salary cap is a lot of teams are getting hamstrung. The teams that are over the apron or the second apron even, oh my gosh, they can't do as much in flexibility. So the Raptors keeping that space of flexibility could really pay off in this new era of the salary cap because other teams may not be involved and taking opportunities because they can't. And the Raptors may be in a smaller pool of teams that are flexible and able to maneuver and do some things. It could very well, like one of the graphics I saw on the last day is they put OG and Tyus Jones next to each other. And they put their stats next to each other. And they said OG's getting like $215 million in his contract, and Tyus Jones is getting $3 million. And they're saying, how does this make sense? Well, first of all, they're not considering the defensive player that OG is in that graphic. But what is very interesting about that graphic is the bargain that Tyus Jones is at, the bargain that Gary Trent Jr. is at. And in some ways, this may be the competitive leeway that helps the team get over the top. Whereas, like, there's going to be all these mid-range players like Gary Trent Jr., like Tyus Jones, that are not able to get the money they want, and they're on amazing bargains. And those kind of players could add up to the talent going up on your team with low cost, just because of the way the new salary cap is, and the middle class of the NBA is taking lower money. So if teams like Boston spend so much on their starters and their core, they won't be able to jump in on those really, really good, cheap contracts as well. They will still get them, just like Milwaukee got Gary for the money they got, and Phoenix got Tyus Jones. But that's the thing. The Raptors may have a little bit more because they're not under they're under the apron and they're not over it. Yeah, the flexibility is key, Shaq Lindsay, for sure, and I value it too. Let's see. Cowboys saying, alley-oop the sheriff, the man of the West. I seen today that 32,000 hectares was burned down. Wow. And they expect the fire to burn for 3 more months. That's awful. That's absolutely awful. And, man, I wish our government would fix this and help them so much. Yeah. Shaq saying, keep hating me as a villain. I enjoy it. No, the main thing I remember is I did kick you out of the channel last year, but I did let you come back because I took you off the list. And in some ways, that's in the back of my mind right now. I did an audit on who was banned from my channel, and I saw the people on the list that were actually pretty good at some point, and I re-added them, and you're one of them, you and Milbester. And so I'm watching you guys in particular, because Milbester went villain at one point, and I had to kick him out. And in some ways, that may be part of the why I was like, okay, we're not starting this up with Shaq Lindsay as soon as he comes back, where he's kind of like being negative and saying all this stuff. That's all it is. You want to be a villain, Dylan, like Dylan? Okay. You enjoy it just like Dylan Brooks. I love it. Cowboys saying, you ain't no Dylan Lindsay. Cool down, son. He's cool. Shaq Lindsay's cool. Just don't bring up Zach LaVine over and over again. That's all I ask. Bryce is saying, you're no villain. Trust me. You got to understand that Lex is the most passionate on the internet towards the Raptors. So what you say can't be taken lightly. It's all love here, Shaq. It is. And in some ways, it is very much like Scotty's dog, Cardi. I will fight to protect Scotty and the Raptors, just like Cardi would. Just like Cardi would. And Seymour saying, you ain't him. There's only one villain. All right. And Fiercey wants to give a dunk to Seymour, the sheriff, for saying that you ain't him. All right. Where's Seymour Pape? We'll give Seymour. Let's give him a 3-pointer. He's at 100. You've got that century mark, Seymour, and you passed me. You passed me. I'm at 99. Let's see. Cowboys saying 3-pointer to Bryce. We are Raptor freaks. Let's grow. Maybe try gardening, Lindsay. Nah, let's not keep going at him. Shaq Lindsay's cool. And, yeah, we'll give Bryce a 3-pointer. You're at 35. You got that Brandon Carlson 35, Bryce Lawson. Or is it a Coloco? Is that going to be a problem? It's like we're trying to reacquire Coloco. And then all of a sudden he sees the Utah Ute over there. And he's like, he's got my number. You know, I love Kevin Durant. We just saw him play crazy yesterday. And I love Durant. I want Durant's number, Brandon Carlson. How much do I have to pay you for this? You want to pay me like Jonte paid Bruce Brown paid Jonte or something? You want that? Yeah, okay. You can pay me for the number, Christian, if you're really coming back to the Raptors and you want to be 35 again. That's going to be an interesting thing. We'll have to see how that goes down. That's right. Let's see. Eye Candy is getting the love from Seymour. Ta-da. Let's go. Seymour saying, Greeks, sorry, not sorry. Canada over everyone. I mean, in some ways, they're getting all mad about the Olympic spirit and being a good sport. And then they're like showing their ass with like colorful language and saying like, you know, they're saying crazy ass shit. And when you hit the translate button on Instagram and you see what they're actually saying, you're like, holy crap, these people are really mad and they're crazy. They're crazy competitive. I don't know. Maybe that's just Greek culture around sports and like basketball in particular, because they really do love basketball there. And, you know, SGA really hit the hornet's nest in some ways. In some ways, SGA is a symptom of the young culture. The young generation is just kind of like, in some ways, they're a little bit of smack talk. They're a little bit extra. Some of the stuff like Scotty looking back behind him when he's about to dunk. That kind of stuff. In some ways, there wasn't a place for that in the NBA back in the day, but the youngsters want to carve out kind of trolling and stuff like that. And that's kind of what this is. SGA making fun of Walkup's name, and Greek fans are really mad. Really, really, really mad. It's crazy. Yeah. Yeah. Carlos saying SGA has that different fire when he's playing for Canada. He's all smooth and calm with the Thunder. Yeah, that was interesting at the end of the game because in some ways we don't see him do that kind of stuff in leadership. I think that was a very special case because of the cheap shot on his cousin. And that wasn't even about protecting his teammate. That was about protecting his family. And I think that a lot of people lost that on that. They thought that the whole exchange was between him and Giannis. No, it wasn't. He saw number 5, the same guy who's talking trash to Dylan Brooks the whole game and being a little punk. He's a punk ass little bitch, number 5. And all the Greek fans are trying to say number 5 owns SGA. No, he doesn't. No, he doesn't. And Dylan Brooks owns that number 5 guy, by the way. And well, SGA, he saw that number 5 guy take a cheap shot right at the buzzer on his cousin, Alexander Walker. And that's why he got upset. And Giannis just happened to get in between, and he put his forearm to him and pushed him back. Yeah, Giannis is a strong guy. He pushed him back, and then Luke Dort got involved, and everything started to calm down. But yeah, the Greek team was very chippy and talking a lot of trash. There was a lot of physicality. There's a lot of people that are pointing out that Greek-Canada game had way more fouls called than any of the other games to start the Olympics. We had way, way more fouls. And some people are trying to winders that to FIBA and the Olympics trying to hurt the Canadian team by making it more physical and giving more of a chance to Giannis and his team. And then in some ways, the byproduct of that is hurting Canada's point differential in the group play and figuring out what's going to go to the next round. In some ways, part of how Canada meddled at FIBA World Cup was their point differential was badass. And starting off the group with not a very big win over Greece. Meanwhile, teams like USA are winning by 26. That could bite us in the ass later. So we need to definitely beat Australia. And if we can, beat them by a good little margin, because it can really help us in the next round of Olympic play with the point differential. So I don't know. Maybe FIBA officials were doing weird things with really touchy calls on Canada in the Greece game. And that was part of their way to, I don't know. I don't want to get too conspiracy theory. I just want our guys to win. And we're still in a good place. Just keep winning and let's run the score up is what I'm saying right there. Yeah. Seymour saying, I'm shocked Dylan Brooks was so calm at the end of that game. Laugh out loud. Well, he's fouled out and on the bench. So he was kind of cooled down and he was sitting on the bench. And that's part of it. Luget's got out there quick, even though he fouled out too. He got out there real quick to have Gilgeous-Alexander's back. So, yeah, Dylan, in some ways, you expect that from him. In some ways, when he's a master of chaos. In some ways, when the chaos has happened, his job is done. He doesn't have to do anymore. That's kind of the way Dylan is. It's like, I'll cause the chaos, but I'll conveniently step away from it when it gets too crazy. That's kind of how he is. That's part of his MO. It's like, I'll antagonize. When you lose your temper and you come at me, I'm going to be cool as a cucumber and you're going to get in trouble. That is the way Dylan works right there. It's so awesome. So awesome. Carlos saying he's saving that energy for the U.S. Man, if we get to play the U.S., which I'm pretty sure we will, but it's not guaranteed yet, it'll be a marquee matchup for sure. For sure. In some ways, I have to say, I may have underestimated the U.S. team, and the way that they played with each other yesterday was very, very, very badass. I think part of it is just Durant. Durant is just such an excellent player. And LeBron playing a certain way with them. And then, they did a good job. They gave up on Embiid early. A lot of people are calling out, why are they even starting Joel Embiid? Like, what's the point of starting him? He's such a waste. He's just going to get a couple fouls, look dumb and stupid, and you're going to take him out. Only playing 11 minutes in the game yesterday. Everybody knows Anthony Davis is a way better person to start for that team right now, or even Bam Adebayo. But, yeah, Joel experiment is failing. In some ways, him being on Team USA, yeah, you maybe like the idea of it, but he's a big complete failure on FIBA basketball. And in some ways, he's not going to be on Team USA ever again after this because they're going to realize he's a waste. He's a waste of being on their team. And I love it. If USA is a huge success and wins the gold, Joel will be a failure within that success. Watch. And it'll be funny. It'll be very, very funny. Yeah, let's see. Seymour's got the salute. And Cowboy's saying he's going to walk through another press conference. Canadian players play different. I mean, I could see that. I could very much see Dylan being more of a shit disturber. That was hilarious. That whole thing with Anthony Edwards. That was really good. Wayne saying, glad for the football talk. Punishment is way overboard. Action has to be sanctioned. Punish the participants, but attempt to derail the player is vindictive. Ministers should back players, not punish. Yeah, I'm with Wayne on this one. In some ways, they needed to go after the hierarchy of the administration of women's soccer for Canada and leave the players alone. Those players only have a certain amount of Olympics to play in. And in some ways, this is the damn shame. You know what it is? I'll bet you what it is this. They really could see Canada winning another gold this year. And in some ways, they don't want that. They don't want Canada to be a powerhouse, a double Olympic gold, two cycles in a row program. So in some ways, they're trying to derail it before it even starts. In some ways, maybe those women are special enough to overcome this point deduction. But I feel like that's what this smacks of. And it could be a hit job by all kinds of different people. I'd say the Canadian media is obviously involved in the hit job on the Canadian soccer, women's soccer, which is crazy that our own media is doing it. Maybe it's other forces like U.S. soccer people or other soccer programs that are close to the women's soccer for Canada and competing, and they want to get a competition edge. There's so much crazy shenanigans around the Olympics. And this was what this smacks of, is that in some ways the favorite, the women for Canada, they have to be stopped any which way they can. And a scandal with a drone scandal, a stupid thing that, that Bev lady might have set up on purpose just so that they could get him in trouble. I don't know. In some ways, I don't like the way this all went down. And the powers that be are people that are very shady to me. Very, very shady. Like I said, I read that statement by Bev Priestman yesterday, and it's absolute horseshit. It's got a Toronto law firm's a logo on it, and she's not really apologizing. She's not stepping down. All she's saying arrogantly is, I will be watching from afar, and I wish our team so well to do so well in this. It's so fucked up. It's the most, like, why even put anything out if you're not going to say anything worthwhile? Seriously, that was all for your own ego, saying, oh, I will be watching from afar, unfortunately. Yeah, that's all from your own fucking ego, Bev. Nobody gives a shit about how you feel about all this. I give a shit about how those young women that play for you felt. That's how I feel right there. Yeah, Seymour saying dunk for Cowboy. Yeah, we'll give Cowboy a dunk. Why not? It's Monday morning. Monday grumpy. I've got the lasagna Garfield anger of Mondays. Garfield. If I'm just saying, who cares if the Greek fans are pissed? We're too nice. I would have told them to suck a bag of pickles, and I don't mean pickles. I mean, it's crazy because they're so funny. They're coming in and they're saying you should have the Olympic good sportsmanship and respect of people like Thomas Walkup, SGA, and then they're go ahead and disrespecting him and saying all this crazy shit like they want to give him bad karma and all this kind of stuff, and they're invoking crazy old ancient Greek like gods and stuff like that. I don't understand what's going on in that comment section. Go to SGA's post and you can see what I'm talking about. It's crazy. It's so crazy. Like I'll post the post link to you guys so you can look at it. It is so crazy what these people are saying. There's one guy who's answered every single person that said something positive to SGA on there and said something like "fuck your mother," like under each one of them. It's crazy in Greek. It's like, I don't understand it. It's so nuts. In some ways, I wonder about this also. Is there some sort of weird, like crazy bots and internet presence, AI presence, Russian trolls, people trying to change things and shape opinion? Like we know that happens in politics. There's a whole bunch of made up bots and people out there trying to put like Trump on blast and make him seem more important than he actually is. They're fake people. And well, is there like manipulation in like CIA kind of like foreign relations kind of stuff to kind of like, okay, let's have like more problems between Canada and Greece and their relations, and we'll do it through basketball. Like, I wonder about all that in the world today. Like there's puppet masters behind the scenes that are trying to cause problems between certain nations in the Olympics so that they will have a drum up of certain things, because I've seen all kinds of crazy clips. And of course, there's comment sections, and social media is so crazy, and Twitter is so awful at this point, 1 year into being Elon's stupid ass little experiment. that maybe there's a lot of manipulation and people are trying to make like cause more division. In some ways, the Olympics is supposed to bring people together. So why are Greek fans so angry with Canada right now? In some ways, you guys are going against your own principles of what the Olympics is supposed to be about as the origin company of the Olympics, origin country of the Olympics. I mean, that's what I'm saying right there. That's what I'm saying. Dunk for infamous. We'll do that. We'll do that. I mean, it's a competition. Y'all lost. We had the best player on the court. He was better than Giannis, and he took over the game and won the game. 26 dunks for infamous. I mean, in some ways, I can see that. I can see that right there. Carlos saying I had to go over the high seas to find an Olympic stream. Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy that it's not more easily gotten to watching the Olympics and stuff like that. In some ways, the Canadian media companies are horrible for any other sport than hockey. They're absolutely horrible. Sure, Blue Jays, baseball. Those two things, they'll kiss their ass and put all over the place. But if it's any other kind of sport, the media up here is putting it at a discount and hurting it in contrast to hockey. I'm telling you right now. But Dow saying Greece just mad they don't have Zeus, Hera, Poseidon, Demeter, Athena, Apollo, Artemis, Ares, Hephaestus, Aphrodite, Hermes, and either Hestia or Dionysus to represent their national team. They have all those Greek gods. They're still all there and stuff like that. And he's dead. Seymour's dead from that. Well, all those things. I'm going to give Seymour the dunk for this, even though we just got a Greek mythology lesson from Butt Dial here. I'm going to give Seymour the dunk because in some ways, I think his reaction to what you just said is hilarious because he said he's dead. And, well, that's ancient Greece kind of stuff right there. Let's see. Mike's saying CBC posted the full game after it was done. Not live, though. Yeah, they did that. They did that on Saturday. So you can see it on a stream on YouTube. But once again, how many people are going to go look for that if it's not advertised? How many people are going to find that? In some ways, if they put it on CBC, on free TV, Canada basketball will get a bigger, wider position, just like Hockey Night in Canada on CBC every fucking Saturday night. That they, free access to basketball? No. Free access to hockey? Sure. But not free access to basketball. And if you want to watch that game, you got to watch it on YouTube through a thing later after it's done. We'll post it then. Yeah, no, this is bullshit. In some ways, this is very visible and apparent what I'm talking about as far as hockey is being protected in this country in a certain way so that they could hold down the other sports from overtaking it, whether it's the soccer scandal now or the fact that we cannot watch the Canadian Dream Team play on CBC on free antenna TV. Like, what the hell is that? Seriously. What is that? What is that right there? And they're going to be playing at 7 a.m. tomorrow. And it's like nobody's going to know except the diehards like us. And we will be watching it. And we will be watching it. And we will be calling the game on this channel. That's right. That's right. That's right. Cowboys saying Kareem's the alley-oop dunk champion. Yeah, he doesn't need dunks. Seriously. It's a complete myth. It's a complete crap. It's a complete myth. That's right. Y'all are laughing. Carlos saying, luckily they only have a demigod in Giannis. Yeah, Giannis is great. Giannis had a fantastic game. I'm not going to diss Giannis, but one man can only do so much. And walk up, no, he ain't going to do nothing. Walk it up. Walk it up. That's right. That's what SGA is saying. That's right. Mike's saying the process resulted in one guy. They tanked forever. Yeah, it's been a ridiculous fail, a huge, huge fail that what has happened, the process with Joel. It's a huge, huge fail. Kareem saying, Cowboy, every time you finish or fix a project, please tell me you yell, ta-da, as a staple that you're done. That would be hilarious. Seriously. Like, in some ways, he comes in to the house and, hello, man, what do you need me to do? You need me to move this old freezer from your basement out onto the curb? All right, let me get my wand. And then he gets in there and he goes, alakazam, alakazoo, mujabadoo, and he points at the freezer. And then he, like, puts his gloves on. He puts on a little back brace. And then he, like, grabs it with his coworker, and they lift it out and they walk it out. And then he grabs the wand at the other side and he says, ta-da, bam! And it acts like he made it poof over there. That'd be funny. That'd be kind of cool. I think you should do that, Cowboy. That would be really fun. And maybe like kid-friendly too. Maybe the kids are watching you work and they're like, they know the ta-da guy's coming. Then at the end, he'll do his little magic Mumford. Ta-da, ta-da, poof, poof. Look, your couch is on the curb now, or your freezer from the basement. There you go. I like that. Yeah. Yeah, Cowboy says we make the customers say it. Then we know we're goody. Oh, okay. I like that kind of. Yeah. In some ways, I kind of like your magic one though. Like you should get a cape with stars and moons on it and a little pointed hat and come into the house and say, "Hello, I'm Tada." And they're like, "We didn't order a wizard for our kids' party. No, I'm here to do the job. I'm Tada. Tada." I don't know. I think the way you're doing it is better. Get the customer to do it. Yeah. Mike saying Temple increases the chances that these new rookies will become good pros. He's like an anti-process guy. And B cuts corners on effort and commitment to winning because he had no one to tell him how to be. I like this. I think this is right. In some ways, like they've said in the offseason, look, the coaches, the front office can only be so many places around our team. And well, when you have a player on the team that travels with the team, that's around the team in the locker room, that's on the planes, on the buses, that is really good, informative stuff. In some ways, the coaches are not around the players all the time. But if the players are a unit on the road, Garrett Temple's out there with them. He's giving guidance, and he's an intermediary, like authority figure on the team after the coaches in the front office. And that him being there, this is exactly what Masai said about it. Having Garrett around he's around when they may not be around to help the young Raptors stay on the right course. So, it could be as simple as like they're going out to dinner and they're sitting at the table and any of them, let's say Brandon Carlson, he's sitting at the table and some young lady at the other table starts making eyes at him and it's kind of like, yeah, I want to come meet you. And Garrett's kind of like, you know what? Listen, that's a rat. You got to watch out, man. I can tell you right now, she's not coming to you with good intentions, and you need to look out for this rookie. Seriously. Oh, but she's so beautiful, Garrett. No, don't get trapped in that way, Brendan. No, you can't think that way. Stop thinking that way. You got to think about your career and not get messed up in something you don't need right now. They could be as simple as that kind of stuff. Seriously, Garrett Temple could be sitting in the locker room with a Grady Dick. Grady Dick's like, how does my annuity work in 2030 when I get to this many years as a pro, and then I finally have retirement, and it'll be how much will I get paid in 2050 after I retire? And Garrett's like, well, listen, Grady, I know all about this because I helped kind of work it out with the Players Association. It's stuff like that people need to realize he's doing for the team. He's very, very helpful. Let's just trust me on this. He's very helpful. Most saying Ulrich Shamshay at the Scarborough Shooting Stars game last night. Nice to see. Very cool. Very, very cool. We've had a couple of Scarborough Shooting Stars games where some Raptors for this year showed up. Of course, the last one, Amit Gaming, our current Raptor Freak trivia champion, was at the game, and he got to meet newly acquired Davion Mitchell. He was at the game. And Amit telling us that Shamshay was sitting in the same seat that Davion Mitchell was sitting in last night. That's the Raptors VIP spot for going to Scarborough Shooting Stars games. And it's very cool to see Shamshay getting more adjusted to this continent and being around. This is the weird thing. He has not been over here very long, guys. He's coming straight from Basketball Africa League. And it's kind of funny. The culture shock is not getting him too much. He seems like he's fitting in. It seems like he's really enjoying having, like, what did he say in an interview recently that really blew me away? He said, over in Africa, nobody cares about me. I was just a farmer. I was just another farmer, another one of like the 17 kids my parents have. And over here, everybody wants to be my friend. Everybody's talking to me. Everybody's so positive. I love it. It's weird. That's got to be a weird shock to him. You go from a family of 17 kids, and now all of a sudden you're getting treated like a superstar and a celebrity, and the way he is now. It's got to be very interesting. I like the way he's going about it. Doesn't seem like he has an ego about it. He's getting airs about it. As long as he can stay humble and is very much in his agrarian roots from Cameroon, the kid's going to be all right. In some ways, he's going to work hard like he worked hard in the field. Well, work hard on the court, and you'll get the just desserts, the awards, the achievements, and the goals that you want, Ulrich. Yeah, so it's interesting. I'm sure going to that game, once again, he's like a VIP. He's sitting at the front court where he's like a couple of years ago, he was a guy in a farm doing nothing. Nobody knew who he was. And it's got to be a crazy, weird transition and change. In some ways, don't let it get to your head. This is where Garrett Temple can come in handy for Ulrich Shamshay. You can basically say, yeah, don't let it get to your head, youngster. Seriously. In some ways, if you want to get better and better, you've got to be not listening to all the ass kissers and not listening to all your critics. You got to be on your own and think about it yourself. There you go. There you go. I love it. I love seeing him at that game and supporting Canadian basketball. Shamshay. That's right. Carlos saying Temple walked the same path these new rookies will walk on. Temple is the perfect player to mentor these second rounders. And of course, this applies to Walter too. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's not the same, though. In some ways, Temple's path and what he did is not the same as any of these guys, but he's been through so much in his 18 years around the NBA that he can tell them anything in any kind of situation. If they have any kind of answers or questions, his G League career, the way he made the league was tough. He came in through the back door and busted his ass, and he worked so hard to get in, to be an established player. To be in the league this long is absolutely astounding. He did something right. That's why people keep saying it's like Garrett Temple's still in the league. He must have done something right. Seriously, how the hell is he still in the league at this point? People say, how do you do that? People have called Garrett Temple or Adonis Haslam recently. It's like Udonis Haslam. So you guys got Temple. I seen you guys got Temple, and he's like your Udonis Haslam. Yeah, he is our Udonis Haslam. And if people didn't have no problem with Udonis Haslam hanging around an extra couple years in Miami, being a mentor and sitting at the end of the bench, why would any of us have a problem with Garrett Temple doing the same role for us up here? That's what I would say right there. That's what I would say right there. Carlos saying Dionysus was the god that loved his balls all over the floor. Exactly on script. Yeah, I mean, people don't even realize exactly what Dionysus is. He's basically get drunk and have sex God. That's who he is. That's what it is. And that's very Greek. In fact, like he may be one of the most important revered gods in Greek history is Dionysus. In some ways, the Greek people really, really love the god Dionysus because they love to drink wine. So it's all right on script. And it may be kind of like a little bit like trying to push the buttons as some people are uptight for sure. For sure. They were doing that on purpose too. You can know they were, but in some ways that's just how things go. I mean, look, I didn't watch it. In some ways I heard about it all afterwards. I thought it was The Last Supper too, just like everybody, because I was hearing all the uproar. But then when people came around with like the disclaimer and saying this is not the Last Supper, this is the Feast of Dionysus, I was like, okay, yeah, they got them. This was totally a trap for people to fall into. And that's why they did that. In some ways, they did that on purpose. I can tell. Mike saying North American swear words are sexual in nature based on the social uncomfortable subject sex is. France's swear words are religious because that's France's uncomfortable subject. That's a very interesting point, Mike. And very interesting. And you know what? I'm going to give you a dunk for it. That's very, very interesting. That makes sense. No, we've been taught on this continent to not appreciate our bodies naturally. And in some ways, it's very much a control thing. 75 dunks from Mike. It's very much a control thing. Now, people over there are more free and freedom. In some ways, the body is not dirty to people over there. Like if there's nakedness around children, that's your own mind putting the perverted part in it. A naked body, a naked mother next to a naked child is not something that's impure or wrong in a lot of places around this world. It's just that our society over here, being very puritanical in some ways, has gotten to that point. And some people say, well, that's gross, man. You shouldn't be like that. I don't know. I don't know what's gross. In some ways, I'm on this side, and in some ways, I may agree with you, but that's because maybe I've been in a part of the world where we've been conditioned to think this way. But there's other parts of the world that are absolutely not like this. You can think about African tribes and how much clothes they wear. You can think about other places where nudity is not as taboo as it is on this continent. It really is. It's here that it's like that in some ways. Yeah, let's see. Cowboy saying, that's awesome. Let's go, Shamshay. Yeah, really cool that he was there. Seymour saying, America's golden boy, Cooper Flagg, will boost him to the sky. He can ball, but I think they will pump him up. Yeah, we'll see. I'm not getting ahead of things. I hate how we just did the draft, and now everybody wants to talk about all the draft prospects for next year. Dylan Harper, Cooper Flagg. Let everything happen in its own time. And, if people are already looking forward to the draft, well, let's have the season first and see how it goes. Maybe we'll be looking forward to the draft somewhere during the season, but let's give ourselves a chance for this season coming up first. is what I'd say. Fiercely saying front office makes wise, smart decisions. They invested in Temple an extra year for a reason. He provides moral and strategic support, as Thad Young demonstrated professionalism on the court and always ready to. This is the interesting thing. Scotty is very much accepted Garrett Temple's brand of mentorship a little bit more than Thad. And you saw how Thad and him got in that argument one time at halftime. Well, in some ways, Scotty is very much checked off and seal approval on Garrett Temple being that vet and being that guy in his ear teaching him. I don't know if it's just the way Temple does things. In some ways, Scotty really enjoys his mentorship and him teaching him. And then in some ways, that's good. You know, Scotty's not the kind of superstar player that's like, I can't learn anything from somebody who's not as talented as me. No, he's not like that, obviously, because there are some players that are so good that are like, you can't tell me anything, Garrett Temple. What's your scoring average for your career? You know, they can be like that, but Scotty's not like that. He has a humility, and whatever. If Masai and Bobby realize this year that Garrett Temple having an effect on Scotty and teaching him, and he's listening to him, is worth investing in for another year, I'm all about it, because Scotty has approved Garrett as his mentor and his person, his vet, as he puts it. He's very much called him his vet. When Garrett got re-signed to our team, Scotty put it on his Instagram stories and said, "I'm glad my vet's back," basically. So, you know, that may be part of the thing that's the most important. You know, if Garrett Temple was not able to mentor Scotty, maybe he isn't back this year. Maybe he isn't back this year. You know, another thing with Chris, we got to look at Boucher is, you know, Boucher may be around the Raptors and not traded purely because, like I said earlier, Isaiah Thomas came to Damon Stoudemire and said, "You like Willie Anderson? Do you like playing with Willie Anderson? I won't trade Willie Anderson if you want him on this team." Well, it could very well be Masai Ujiri's coming to him and he's saying, "Do you like Chris Boucher? Do you want me to keep Chris Boucher around?" And Scotty's like, "Yeah, I love Chris. Chris is my guy. I want you to keep him." Boom. All of a sudden, Chris is on our team, and y'all aren't going to see him get traded. Seriously, I could see that happening that way. Because in some ways, it is about making Scotty happy and having guys around him he enjoys being around. And it's obvious that Chris and Garrett Temple are two of those guys. It's two of those guys. Yeah. Mike's saying people are upset Masai didn't blow it up after the year after we made the playoffs and went through tons of injuries. They want to revise the position we were in as, for sure, we're as bad and should be blown up. There's a lot of woulda, coulda, shoulda in past looking back and trying to say we should have done this at this point or this point. But nobody can do this. You can't go back in a time machine, Marty McFly, and Back to the Future this shit. You just can't. It all went down the way it is. And this is great life advice just in general for people in basic. You know, you can have regrets about your life. Maybe you broke up with somebody that you wish you hadn't broken up with, that you could be with again still. Maybe you decided to leave a job and you're like, crap, I shouldn't have left that job. That job is better than where I'm at now. We can have regrets and we could, woulda, coulda, should all we want, but that doesn't change your life path and what you've already decided where you're at. So any kind of quibbling or thinking about what we should have done 2 years ago or 3 years ago or a year ago or whatever is useless, because you're at the one point you are on your present point in your life right now. And you can't go back and change that stuff. Sure, if you can go back and recoup the job or the person that you miss that you want to still be with, you go ahead and try, because that's the present moment and you're trying to do that. But if you can't go back in time and change any of the events that have already happened, what the fuck are you talking about it right now? It's a waste of your energy. It's a waste of your angst. It's a waste of your worry. And you're beating yourself up over it. You can't change it. If you can, go ahead and change it now and make it right. But if you can't change it, let it go and move forward and stay present. That's the way I say about anybody in their lives, whether it's the Raptors and their process of what they've been trying to do with their roster the last couple of years. We can't go back and change it. Masai has very clearly stated why he held on to OG and Pascal as long as he did, to trade him at the point that he did. And I think it's a very valid reason, because he wanted to give them one more chance to make it work this past season that just ended last year. And that first half of the season with Dennis and them all involved was their chance, and it didn't work. So then, boom, it blew up. And that's just how it goes. Brian's here. Good to see Brian from To The Point. What's up, Freak Nation? All y'all have a great day. Alley-oop to y'all. I don't even know how to do that. You know what? I'm going to put y'all on here, and we're going to have a y'all comment category. Y'all is going at the bottom. It's y'all, and it's all y'all. And you know what? There's the first dunk for y'all. Everybody's getting a dunk. Y'all. That's right. All right, Brian, good to see you. Give To The Point a subscription and watch his stuff. Good stuff. Bud Dial saying, when you have a team that's pretty much all under 25, Temple is there to guide players mentally. If Temple isn't in that locker room, we could end up with a bunch of immature delinquents. I mean, I wouldn't go so far as that. Once again, we know the Raptors draft for character. In some ways, as Chris Boucher has said, if you're in the Raptors jersey, you're a good guy. You're a good person because we do our homework. We're not bringing any knuckleheads. In some ways, there is a real danger in the NBA today of drafting players that are just not ready and never will be ready. Malachi Flynn. And in some ways, the Raptors want to make sure they're getting hardworking guys of good character. So I agree with you, but in some ways, there's stuff that can always fall through the cracks. And that's why Garrett Temple traveling with the team as a member of the roster is a big part of it. Some people have said, like a friend of mine said, we don't need to have him taking a roster spot. He should be a coach on our team. He should be just like going from that to assistant coach. Well, first of all, he's getting a pay cut if he's going as an assistant coach over a player. He's not going to make as much money. And in some ways, he's valuable as a player still, because he can be played out on the court and he will do solid stuff. It may not be a whole lot, but at least he won't make a lot of mistakes. So, and he still can play physically. Now, the thing is, if we don't sign him as a player, I don't think he comes to us as an assistant coach. He has such broad horizons about what he can do that being an assistant coach for the Raptors may not be number one on the list, although I may be wrong. It could very well be that part of the reason why we're keeping Garrett around is he's developing more and more of a relationship with Darko, and that he will make a transition from being a player with us to being an assistant coach at some point. But I think with Temple, once again, the very usefulness is he's a player. He's not a coach, and that he's involved in the player areas of the world, like the locker room and other places where the assistant coaches and the coach may not be present. And that may be the biggest difference right there. Yeah, that may be the biggest difference right there. Seymour saying Bruce paid Jonte, and Jonte bet that money ASAP. I bet what an idiot. Yeah, he probably did. Probably did. He probably did bet that money away. Jonte's so stupid. Jonte is so dumb. Should they name the new Las Vegas NBA team the Las Vegas Jontes? Bryce is saying kind of like the Hornets. Kind of like the Hornets. Yeah. Yeah, we don't want an immature development like Bryce is saying. I know that's the comment you're talking about. We don't want to be like the Hornets who have a lot of learning and guidance they need. That's for sure. Yeah. Cowboys saying, preach on, Kareem. What a great signing. Yeah, the Garrett Temple signing may be our biggest free agent signing other than Emmanuel Quickley. And it is what it is. I'll take it. And in some ways, we're not going to get the big flashy free agent signings that the other teams are. It's never been a part of our history. So the way we build is through the draft and undrafted players. And, sometimes we make a big home run, huge move, and we do get a superstar that way. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes in the years to come. Mo's saying, W stream, W vibes. Keep at it always. Good times approaching. Thank you, Mo. Go Canada. See you on the following stream after senior men's national tournament. Yeah, so national team. We're going to play tomorrow at 7 in the morning, so I'll be on very early tomorrow. And I know Monique will not be up at that time, which is too bad. But she'll watch the replay later on in the day. I'm sure she will. Thank you, Mo, for the cutoff. And I am just 8 minutes close to 2 hours. Brian saying at Maple Leaf Gardens for the World Cup, I was with the Greeks. Damn, they passionate about ball. They're very passionate to the extent that they're hypocrites. Hippocratic oath. Hippocrates is the doctor, the god of doctors, right? I don't know, but they're being hypocritical in some ways, saying, oh, you guys are being bad sports. And then they're turning around being bad sports to us. In some ways, you want to be gracious and say, all right, SGA, you're being a punk. You're being a certain way towards our guys. But wait, your players were being just the same way. Seriously, your guys were antagonizing us. And then you're going to try and say, oh, Canadians, you're being out of pocket. You're being rude. And then y'all going to be rude to us coming back? Nah, that's crazy. That's crazy stuff, Greece. Come on now. That's crazy stuff. Seymour saying, yo, whoever dunked on Gobert from Brazil, damn, that was nasty. Was it Bruno? Was it Bruno? Where's St. David? I know. Where is St. David? I don't know where he is. All right, we're going to do the classic card still. Carl is saying Costas Magkos is a generational hater. Yeah, that guy. You saw him. The guy who's in the comments of that SGA post. He's crazy. He is crazy. He took a lot of time out of his day yesterday to make sure that he wrote a lot of Greek stuff all over there. Yeah. Country Kong's here. Good to see JP return to the chat. Always happy to see my good friend JP come back to the chat. Good morning, Raptor Freak family. Lex, I just want to say congrats, Team Canada. SGA is so smooth and RJ is so strong. Giannis put an elbow in Shea's neck. Outrageous. FIBA or Adam Silver have to review it for a dangerous play. It was a forearm shiver. It wasn't that big a deal. He was fine. Luget's got there quick. So yeah, it's an interesting little thing. Let's not make it more than it is. But yeah, if we have to play them again, it'd be very much a grudge match at this point, at least in the Greek fans' eyes. I don't know. Canadian fans are kind of casual about it. Like, yeah, SGA is a badass. You lost. Get over it. Just stop being poor losers. That's kind of what our fans are saying in the comments. And the other fans, the fans from Greece, are basically wishing our houses burned down. It's crazy. It's so crazy, man. Mike's saying, yeah, Iran bots, China bots, Russia bots, Ukraine bots have been posing as citizens of America to spread misinformation. A lot of it, and it's cultivated on Twitter by Elon and the way he's changed it. And he's opened it wide open. In some ways, he really does want to be a power player on influencing things. But the crazy thing is, this is the beautiful thing in life. Truth will win in the end. And in some ways, they can do all this stuff and nobody's buying it at this point. We all get it. This guy, Trump, is the modern day version, the ultimate Pokemon evolution of the Shim Sham Man, the carpetbagger, the snake oil salesman that went from town to town back in the day and tried to sell stuff to communities. And when they got found out, they chased him out of town and he had to go somewhere else because he was found out. Well, this is the same thing. It's just on a large scale globally. The Shim Sham Man has been found out. He's being chased out of the town at this point. The ultimate Pokemon evolution of a carpetbagger, a snake oil salesman, Donald Trump. Yeah, and in some ways, they can have all the misinformation, the bots. In some ways, you can really get a sense for what's fake and what's real at this point. Like, seriously, when you read comments or posts or tweets on anywhere, you need to really be with your eyes wide open and say, is this a real person or is this a bot? Is this somebody who made this? I deal with bots all the time as an admin of a Facebook group, and they're out there. And it's crazy because it's not just the bots like Pussy and Bio. That's all over Twitter, sure. But there's a lot of bots that are in there that will find keywords, and they'll just come in and they'll be fighting for a certain perspective. Usually it's like Trump's side or something like that. And they'll just be arguing until they're blue in the face. If somebody posts something positive about Kamala Harris, well, there'll be a bot farm that just comes in and they're not even real people. They're just paid for by really rich people to try and curry favor and make it feel like this is the popular sentiment. So anybody who's deciding how they feel about things by going on Twitter and looking at what the general consensus is, and they want to be a common person that's common with everybody else, don't believe the common census because it's manufactured by bots in a lot of cases. And thank you, Mike, for bringing that up. And the spreading of misinformation is worse than ever. There's a picture of Hugh Jackman, and they're trying to say that he's reenacting the scene from X-Men, laying on his back on the bed and something. But he didn't do that. That you can look at the image, and if you look at it very closely, it's an AI image. See, that's part of the problem. People are getting fooled by AI. I know how to tell when an AI image is an AI or it's real. And there's so many AI images out there fooling people at this point. So get real good at discerning what is a bot and what is AI, because it's only going to get more and more confusing. Trust me. It's only going to get more confusing. Cowboy's saying, check out Stream East, Carlo. Okay. I didn't officially say that. That's what Cowboy said. Yeah, let me see. All right. It jumped ahead again. Let me see what's going on here. But Dow's saying, I'm trying to understand why the Olympics are being held at duplicate cities. These games generate millions of dollars and could help a third world city out of debt and benefit their local citizens. Well, it's because Paris doesn't have the infrastructure, and this is common in the Olympics, that the infrastructure for all the different events aren't going to be centrally located in just one city. So they're going to have events in some of the little towns and cities around the Paris area or in France in different areas. The country of France gets to host the Olympics with centrally happening in their capital of Paris, but there may not be the right facilities for certain sports, and that's why they have to do them around other places. It's a weird thing, the Olympics. It can cost people money. In some ways, it's a debt thing. It doesn't make money for the country, but it's prestige. And it's memories, and it's all kinds of other stuff. So in some ways, cities like Toronto want to have the Olympics, but if Olympics came to Toronto in the last 20 years, like they tried to get them, it may actually make us lose money and be really bad. So it's a double-edged sword. In some ways, like, you want to say, okay, send the Olympics to a third world country to help them. That may not be true. Now, it may help them because they build the infrastructure for the facilities to do all the events, and they stay, and that may be very helpful for those countries to have those facilities afterwards. But also, the Olympics can lose money for countries. They go into debt because of it. So that's the dangerous thing about it. Yeah, yeah. So I understand what you guys are saying, and I agree with you to an extent. But the Olympics have to go the richest countries because they have to shoulder the possible losing money of having it. So yeah, a whole lot of dunkaroos. All right, Wayne's saying, believe it or not, Canada's upsetter in sports. Who knows? The 200-meter Olympic champion is Canadian. Female Olympic football champion, Canada. Potential upsetter to U.S. dominance in basketball, Canada. Yeah, this fencing bronze medal we just got this weekend. The young lady was not expected to medal, and she went above and beyond and won the first ever medal in fencing for Canada. So, yeah, in some ways, our athletics in our country have been on the rise, not just in soccer and basketball, but just in general. And maybe people don't like the idea of Canada being more on the same level with some of the top countries around the world. In some ways, Canada has never been taken seriously in certain ways in the Summer Olympics. Sure, in the Winter Olympics we have. But in the Summer Olympics, as we become more and more seriously, maybe there are forces out there trying to stymie us and hold us back. That's what I would say right there. Yeah, Julian's here. Good to see Julian in the chat. Why do you sound so chippy? I keep hearing a static. I don't know. My mic might be not totally hooked up correctly. I don't know. I don't like that. If it sounds chippy, I apologize for that. I will try and get better audio on here. So, Julian, thank you for putting up with it. I apologize. Let's see, dunk for Wayne. Yeah, let's give the sergeant a dunk. You're at. I'm going to give him a 3-pointer. You're going to get the James Edwards 53. Yeah, I'm going to give you an old Detroit Bad Boys James Edwards center 53 for Wayne. Let's see. Mike's saying the Olympics are having an issue finding host cities. Most places that host this Olympics spend so much to make the arenas and housing. After the arenas just sit there with no real purpose, it's more debt. Yeah, in some ways, you got to be really creative with the old facilities that you use. Like even when we had the Pan Am Games here in Toronto, well, that Pan Am Center out at Scarborough North U of T campus became a center for the community, and people go there and they use it for swimming and all kinds of stuff afterwards. You want to make sure that you don't have a bunch of abandoned buildings that are useless and they're only used for the Olympics. So you really have to think about repurposing the Olympic structures for other things, things like the stuff that's from Montreal Olympics way back. Well, you got to think about how were they used? And some of those buildings were not, and they just went decayed and were useless. So Mike's echoing the point I was making just a little bit ago that the Olympics are not money makers. In fact, countries take debt on usually when they do the Olympics. Yeah, Seymour's saying, interesting. Yeah, somebody's got to do them. And in some ways, it's the prestige. It's the memories. In some ways, it's like flexing your power as a country and saying, this is who we are. I mean, that's part of the reason why China has gotten the Olympics in recent cycles. This is they want to flex their power as a country and show it off. And, if Russia was allowed to get the Olympics again anytime soon, I'm sure Putin would want to do all kinds of crazy spectacles to show his power. That's what it's all about right there. Angry Mexican saying, Raptor Streak, are you doing a live stream for Canada versus Australia tomorrow morning? What percentage do you give Australia on beating Canada? Yes, I will be, Angry Mexican. Good to see Hornets Nation in the chat this morning. Yes, I will be up that early, and you can listen to me call the game live if you would like to listen to me, Angry Mexican. I'll be up. I'd say, listen, in some ways, this is the team I'm worried about the most in our group. Spain, I should probably respect and worry about, but I'm worried more about Australia. And Australia, in some ways, is more like us than anybody else in the Olympics. They are a team that's up near the top, and they have a lot of NBA talent. So we'll have to see. In some ways, I don't know. I would say that we're probably 60% or 70% going to win, and the other percent is Australia. So I think we're the favorites still. I think that the fact that we've got SGA is a big reason why. And also the fact that we have better role players than them. And in some ways, the Lou Dort and the Dylan Brooks on our team, Dwight Powell, is really, really important. Now, their role players are more shooter-oriented role players. Who are their role players from the NBA on that team? Dellavedova, Joe Ingles, Patty Mills. Yeah, you see the kind of role players from the NBA they're getting. They're more shooter-oriented kind of role players, whereas we've got role players that are more defensive and gutsy and gritty kind of guys. So that may be part of the factor is that. And, we're going to have to contain Giddey. It'll be very interesting to see who guards Josh Giddey tomorrow. and tries to hold them down. So in some ways, I'm doing the preview for tomorrow right now. Thanks for the question, Angry Mexican. Yes, I will be live first thing in the morning, very early, very, very early. I got to get up, take the garbage out, and get on the stream is what I'm going to do right first thing in the morning. Cool Cat saying, in terms of exposing skin, I had my nieces at the park, and they were so hot and sweaty, so I took off their T-shirts to cool them down. Folks were shocked. Cultural differences indeed. Like I said, once again, this is the thing. Perverted old Christian men that have a hard time not seeing naked women's bodies and feeling sin in their heads, they're the ones that have the problem. They have the problem because their head goes there. In some ways, it's like the body's in natural state. If we were all just walking around like Adam and Eve in this world and there was never a need to have clothing because of warmth or like cold or whatever, we would have never had this point. Like if we were just naturally organisms like we're on this planet, like everything else on this planet. It's that we've made up shit through religion and taboo that is actually not really natural or to us. In some ways, our feet should be touching the ground. We shouldn't be wearing shoes. The connection of our bodies and our to the ground, the feeling the grass and the dirt is part of making us connected to the natural world. But we've gone so into the world of electronics and plastic and made up bullshit that's man-made away from the natural world that we've lost touch with our natural senses of ourselves. Once again, if you're perceiving other people in certain ways, that's coming from your head. That's coming from your head. And you can talk about this as far as slut shaming women for wearing outfits where they want to feel beautiful and they may show some skin. That's your mind, dirty old man. They're coming at them and saying, you dress like a slut, you get what you get. No. You're the one who made her into a slut in your head. And she's just trying to be beautiful and express herself and wear what she wants. It's all in your head, you dirty old perverts. That's what I say about that right there. That's what I say about that right there. Good stuff, Cool Cat. Mike saying Thad Young was brought in to support Siakam and Fred, so he was on their side of things. Temple was brought in to support Barnes. It was probably a style difference in the way they deal with issues. I don't know if it's exactly as clear-cut as that. I think that Thad was brought in at the time to be just an old vet and to be around. And I think he was very much brought in for Barnes also I don't know the timing. Maybe he was already here when Barnes showed up. But either way, we needed a vet around the team. And Thad was that guy. I don't think that Thad had a hard time mentoring Scotty either. I'll bet you that I know I just said what I said, but I'll bet you that Thad and him have a very good relationship and that he learned a lot from Thaddeus also. But it may be that the rapport and the connection between Garrett and Scotty is just more natural. It could also be that, Garrett's a little bit more of an orator and help kind of person, like an instructor than Thaddeus. Now, I'm not going to say Thaddeus isn't that because he's a teacher. He's teaching his sons how to play basketball. He does his academies around Memphis and all that kind of stuff. But it could be that in some ways that Thaddeus is not as vocal or outspoken as Garrett is, partly because Garrett has more of like we've heard Garrett call games like in the 905. He's such a great speaker. He's so eloquent. He's very, very good at getting across points. And it could be that Thaddeus was a different kind of like leader. Let's just put it that way. But I don't want to say that Scott didn't get value from Thaddeus Young being a mentor in his career. I know he did. And as Shakina Young would tell everybody, y'all talking about Thad and why is he still on this team? You don't understand everything he's doing behind the scenes. But in some ways, Bobby said, we had two of those guys last season, Thaddeus and Garrett, and even Otto to an extent, Otto Porter, that we didn't need Thaddeus anymore because Garrett's now got that job. So it's kind of like that. Cool Cat saying, folks are forgetting we plunged into COVID right after our chip. We could not even get players to sign with the Raptors due to COVID. Yeah, I don't even think it was that. I think that the league was just in a standstill and frozen, and it was just trying to get back on the natural beats of the year as far as like having to wait for this, how the displaced the season was pushed and the draft being here and all this. It was very chaotic and hectic. And then add into us trying to get set up in a totally different place, the state of Florida, and doing what we're doing. It was just really hectic. That whole month when Mark and Serge left, we drafted Malachi and we got Aaron Baines and Alex Len, and we showed up in Tampa, was so condensed with so much stuff that would have happened over like 4 or 5 months into like 3 weeks. It was crazy. And in some ways, our heads were spinning because so much had to happen so quickly to be on track to be able to play at Amalie Arena in Tampa. So it is really crazy, really, really crazy. I don't even know if it was the COVID thing and being locked out because players came to our team during that year. They may not have been the highest quality, great players, but we had people like DeAndre Bembry, Stanley Johnson, people like that. But I was saying, I wonder what our team would look like if Jonte never got caught. God works in mysterious ways. I don't know. In some ways, I know Jonte is going to have a huge regret later in his life. I don't care about reading his memoir or hearing him in an interview saying, "Oh, I messed up when I gambled." Obviously, you did. It's not like anybody's going to say, "Oh, you did the right thing, Jonte. Good job." No, this is different than Damon Stoudemire's regrets or Tracy McGrady's regrets about leaving the Raptors. This guy, he totally brought this on himself. And in some ways, he's going to just regret that he did the gambling. It's not going to be about whether he could have done this for the Raptors or not, because he didn't give a shit about the Raptors, obviously, because he was doing what he was doing. So, yeah, in some ways, I'm glad that he got caught and he's out of here. In some ways, it's sad because he could have been an NBA player and playing for our team this year right now, and we would have used him. He was all set up, and he threw that away. Well, go to prison is what happens now. Mike's saying people forget Siakam had surgery after the playoffs, and he got that groin injury too. OG was out, Barnes was out, Gary was out, Fred was out, Precious was out. But yeah, we should have traded Hurt. Shaking my head. Yeah. No, there's a lot of like selective memory. There's a lot of like, oh, it would have been convenient, woulda, coulda, shoulda this. Well, you can't really do that. You really can't. We're just right where we are. We got to own the decisions we made. And honestly, I don't think that Masai and Bobby have made very many bad decisions. I'm not going to say they're perfect, but I'm going to say that most of the time they're making the very right decision. Yeah. Carlos saying Jonte's situation is so sad. You can see how an addiction can let you throw away even an NBA dream. It's extremely sad. And well, in some ways, I don't feel like he's getting the punishment correctly because he doesn't seem to understand that he did something really wrong if he's trying to go and play in Greece right now. Yeah, I don't think he understands, and he needs to be punished because he needs to really feel how much he's lost. And he can kind of feel it, but if he's trying to go to Europe and stuff like that and play over there, he's not feeling it because in some ways he needs to understand he really fucked up. Yeah, Wayne's saying big up to Kareem and his butt benevolence. Having Chris Boucher on the roster is a great positive. Chris contributes in areas where needed. I think playing him in his natural position works for us. Now, the one thing I want to see from Chris, and there are some signs of this from the private run that's been put on social media recently that Scotty and him participated, is I want to see him pass more. I want to see him more trying to work his game into fitting Darko's philosophies, because that is something that'll show he's committed to staying here. I want to say a couple of things about Chris. First of all, he's Canadian. He doesn't really want to play in the United States. I can tell. In some ways, he very much enjoys being on this side of the border. Now, in some ways, that's makes it tough for him because we're the only team, the only place for him to play on this side of the border. But if they got a Montreal team, I'll bet you he'd want to play for them. But he doesn't really want to leave Toronto because it's not that he's lazy. It's just that his life is easy here and it's set up. He's got a young child, and he's got certain things that are just set up nice. Now, for history of our team, he's our only current player that has a championship ring from our championship year. He's a Canadian guy. We're going to play in Montreal in the preseason. There's all kinds of different bonuses and things that are great about him, and he is loyal to our team. There's been a couple times where Chris has had his contract come up, and he's taken less money to stay here with us. So I think if Chris puts in an effort this summer and shows that he's trying to fit in with Darko's scheme of things, and Scotty has a big thumbs up that I love Chris and I want him on this team, well, we should continue to have him. Now, it is true. His contract is expiring this year. It's very attractive, and it could be that he does get traded at some point during the season this year. But I wouldn't expect that until around the trade deadline. I'll bet you he'll play at least the first half of the season. But we'll have to see. We'll have to see what happens with Boucher. And I think some of it will have to do with whether he fits in with what Darko wants to do. That may be the most important thing right there. Yeah. Yeah, let's see. Carlos saying, I think that may be true, Lex, about Chris. We don't see any more trade rumors about him, unlike last year. Well, a lot of the people that want to speculate trade rumors and Raptors content makers love talking about Chris getting traded from our team right now. In fact, they love putting Jakob and Chris in a trade packages going out from our team. Some ways they see the different things and they want this and they want that, and they're like trying to ship him out. Well, I'm not about that. I value Chris.
When I told Chris on his Instagram, on his Twitch stream earlier this summer, when he made me a moderator on his Twitch channel, that I want him to be like the Udonis Haslem for the Raptors, I meant it. That if he can play for the Raptors for the whole rest of his career and just be a mentor, Chris is that kind of guy. It's like he's not going to be trying to get these huge contracts. In some ways, if he get a contract like Gary Trent Jr. in the years to come, he may be very happy with it because he's made a big bundle of money now on this recent contract. That in some ways he's like kind of maybe reading the room. He's saying, you know what, my contract right now is amazing compared to what these other guys, middle range players in the NBA are getting this year. Like, look at what Gary just got. He only got $3 million, and I'm making like certain 8 or 9 or I forget. He's making like 10 or 12 million or something. But even when that contract's up this summer, what if next summer Chris is telling Masai, he's like, I'll come back on a bargain. I'll come back on a deal like Gary's, pay me $3 million, and boom, you get value from Chris for that at that price, don't you? And that's what I was talking about earlier. You want to get value because of the new salary cap, get players that could maybe make more somewhere else, but because the salary cap's all screwed up for the middle class, they're going to get paid hardly anything at this point. So Chris could see that, and he could be like, well, I could be paid $2 million or $3 million a year to play for the Raptors and stay home and not have to have the hassle of moving and uprooting my child and all this kind of stuff. Or I could go get the same amount and play for Orlando. Yeah, I'm going to stay in Toronto and I'll take the $3 million. So I could see this happening with him in the next year. Country's Con saying, I can't believe I'm saying this, but I think we should start Jacoby over Grady for his defense. During Summer League, he flashed intriguing shot making, but more than that, he was a tenacious defender. I saw this too. And this may be – now, let's not diss Grady for his defense, though. And I know you were number one Grady Dick fan last year, Country Kong. And in some ways, this is very interesting for you to come to this conclusion that you in some ways want Jacoby Walter to be starting for the Raptors. I mean, I won't disagree with your logic on this. I think that you're right. But let's not count Grady out. In some ways, he's got a training camp and a preseason to prove that he's increased his defensive capabilities also. So I can't say for sure, but I think this is very interesting, especially since you were Grady stan number one last year, that you're ready to push Grady out of the starting lineup for Jacoby Walter already. And he hasn't even played an NBA minute. But very interesting comment. I may agree with you, though. We'll have to see how things develop in the preseason and training camp. Yeah, Brian's saying, logical, waiting on your email or get my info from Lex. There you go. If you emailed Mike should respond to you. He's pretty good about responding to email. Wade Wilson saying Canada women's and France are tied at 10. Thanks for the stat update or the score update, Wade, on the game that's going on right now. I'm going to give you a dunk. You're at Scotty Barnes number 4. You got 4 dunks now. All right, let's see. Shaq saying, speaking about being blocked, felt it was a little unfair. Was being attacked by your passionate Raptors freak. Had to defend myself. I don't take nothing personal. Much love the Raptors freak. I appreciate that, Shaq Lindsay. And in some ways, that's part of the reason why I unblocked you. I know you caught me on a bad day. And it may have been that we were just kind of having a friendly discussion. And in some ways, I should allow for people to not agree with me. But once again, like Carlos saying, I'm very, very fiercely passionate about the Raptors, and I'm going to stand for them. In some ways, I may be blindly standing for them, but that's just how it is. There's people that are blindly against the Raptors, blindly going against them and putting them down. Well, I want to be the opposite. And some people may be like, well, Raptors freak isn't realistic because he's so optimistic and positive about the Raptors. Well, somebody's got to. And if there's going to be content makers out there like Pensair, they're going to be negative. There's going to be other ones that are going to put them down or question or stuff like that. I'm going to be there supporting, blindly supporting the Raptors no matter what. And you know what? I feel bad about that. You telling me that you felt that it was a little unfair. You know what? That's part of the reason why I made it able for you to come back. And I didn't do this for many people. You were like 3 of y'all that I unblocked and allowed to come back. I have not unblocked I'm a Fun Guy. He is still not allowed on this channel. But you were one of the ones I did allow to come back. And I appreciate that you did. And seriously, man, much love to you also. Seriously, in some ways, I've told Shannon this last weekend, that in some ways, this is an entertainment channel for Raptors fans who are passionate about the team and positive like me. And much like NBA Chev, some people like to just hear people go off. And maybe it's misdirected or not totally fair to go at you. But I will say this, if you're acting or talking like some of the more negative people in the Raptors world of fans, I'll bunch you in with those people, even if your voice isn't exactly the same as them. And I'll go ahead and do a tirade to all those people. And then maybe some of the stuff that I'm saying does not apply to you specifically because you didn't say it. It's just that I'm hearing some of the shades of what you're saying in other things, and I'm espousing against all of those people that are saying that. So I appreciate you not taking it personal. And I honestly, Shaq Lindsay, you're awesome. And I appreciate how much you were around this channel last year. And to see you come back today has actually really been awesome. Really, really good. I'm going to give you another dunk for, you know what? I apologize for if I made you feel bad about banning you from the channel for that bit of time this past year. I'm going to give you a 3-pointer. You've got 6 now. You got the Corey Joseph Toronto 6 dunks. There you go. Mike's saying you can't trade players when they're hurt because you get even less stuff. Cluelessness. Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that. Randolph's here. Monday blessings, beloved Raptor freaks, most informative gang. Your contribution to this day is divinely appointed, which means you must not fail in doing good. There you go, Randolph. That's a lot of pressure. I don't want to fail. I'll try and do better. I'll try to do better with people like Shaq Lindsay. I really will. Shaq saying we don't grow unless we are critical and have a difference of opinion. I agree with this. I agree with this to an extent. I agree with this. I mean, I hear all the differences of opinions. And sometimes I'll see them on Twitter, I'll see them on Facebook, and I'll get amped up about them. And then somebody will come in the chat like you, and you'll kind of sound like something I read, and I'll be like, oh, I'm going to go off on all of them at once. And it's not totally fair to you guys because you weren't the people that were writing the comments that I saw on there that made me start to like go in that direction. So I completely agree with you. I don't want this to be some sort of weird cult of personality where like my beliefs and ideas about everything is exactly right. Because honestly, we talked about some pretty controversial stuff like the opening ceremonies for the Olympics. And I don't want y'all to all agree with what I said about it. You know, y'all's views on nudity and what I said there are your own. And if you have different family value views about nudity than I do, that's your right. And I'm not going to tell you to change. So I agree with you, Shaq Lindsay. And I appreciate you for not agreeing with me. So yeah, and being critical of the Raptors is important. I agree, but I think people they get into this like critics mindset where they just want to be critical for the sake of being critical, and they just want to have some sort of power in their life. And it's not even that they want to be critical of the Raptors; they just want to feel like they can talk shit about something. Does that make sense? Like if they actually come in with like real good criticism, like that makes sense. It's constructive. It's kind of like, oh, well, Bobby and Masai heard that. Maybe they could do that. That would make things better. But a lot of times they're just saying stuff like, oh, Masai's washed. He hasn't done anything good since the championship and all this kind of stuff. And I'm just like trying to point out to them, well, he's been in a very uncomfortable, difficult situation as a franchise pretty much ever since the championship. And he's done the best he can in this. It's not like, you know, NBA 2K or a trade simulator on ESPN where everything's just perfect conditions where you can do whatever you want. Like you can get on the 2K or on your NBA game that you play and you have your rosters and you can trade players around all you want. There's no limitations. Well, there's so many limitations in the real world of being an NBA GM that the common fan just doesn't understand, and that they're outrageous with their expectations for what they believe Webster and Ujiri can accomplish, because they don't realistically understand the limitations of what is possible. So that's a big part of it right there. That's a big part of it right there. Yeah, Mike's saying, King, 100%. I will. Give me some time to do it, though. That life's crazy at the moment. Same here. In some ways, like I said, the second half of August will be much easier for me to appear on your show, Brian. But like the first 2 weeks of August is going to be really busy for me. Really, really, really busy me. Yeah, let's see. Hang on. I got to get back on the right thing. Let's see. Randolph saying, Lex, I get the impression that our Canadian basketball team star players have not gotten into their groove as of yet. Can't wait to see them at their best. Go Canada. I would say specifically Jamal Murray for sure. I'd say RJ's in his groove. I would say that SGA's in his groove too. He was so efficient in the game on Saturday. The efficiency on Saturday is the thing that improved from the FIBA World Cup for SGA. SGA wasn't that efficient last summer. He took a lot of shots and he was careless at times. Well, now he tightened up his game and he was really playing real tight against Greece on Saturday. Yeah. I think you're right. There's going to be some more levels with Jamal Murray at least. I think RJ's doing pretty good. And if he gets even better, hey, I'm happy about it. But man, RJ was really, really good already. Really already. Carlos saying Bot Farms won the Duarte, the guy who prompted the police to kill drug addicts in the thousands, and Marcos, the son of the former dictator administration in the Philippines. See, that's awful. That's what I'm saying. The politics, in some ways, just think for yourself. Don't try and go look and test the way the wind's blowing and just go with the crowd. In some ways, the sheep mentality of going with the crowd and trying to stay on the winning side that some people have about the NBA is like, oh, I'm going to go be a Warriors fan this year because I got Kevin Durant or something like that. No, don't do that because it's a misdirection. They have inflated the amount of support that Trump has online to more than it is. He doesn't have as much support as everybody thinks he does. There's so many different fake accounts out there masquerading as MAGA people. And it really does inflate the sense that it does seem like there's more of them than the rational, normal people that are against him. There's way more than us. We just don't feel the need to toot our horn or write Twitter all over the place. Those bots are filling that in the canvas, the blank canvas. Nobody's like saying anything. These guys are going to come in and they're going to try and shape perception by filling that void. And that's it right there. Carlos showing two good examples of how that's dangerous right there. Wade Wilson said the only Olympics to pull a profit was the 1984 Olympics in LA. That's interesting. And that was the one that the Russians were not invited to, right? They did not come to that one. And then we boycotted the one in Moscow, the one before. Yeah. Or at least the States did. Canada didn't, I don't think. Mike saying after the Pan Am Games, Toronto doesn't want to be a host city at the moment. They haven't bid. New York City doesn't want it either. Yeah, there's too much financial problems in those two cities. There's too much economic problems. It's too much of a hassle. In some ways, there's so many problems with cost of living in these cities that common citizens in Toronto would be like, no, we don't want the Olympics here. What the hell are you trying to do? We don't have the money to spend on Olympic stuff. Like, what are you doing? We get mad at our politicians if they start talking about trying to have the Olympics in Toronto again. Right around the turn of the century, we were trying to get it. But we lost out on the bids to Beijing and London and different places. And, well, we gave up on trying to get it here because in some ways, we did get the Pan Am Games. And like Mike said, that lost money for us. And in some ways, it was very unpopular that we did the Pan Am Games. And so I don't see us trying to get the Olympics in Toronto anytime soon. And rightfully so. I don't think I really want them here, honestly. Carlos saying, I bet you the Olympics will have to change their requirements to be more sustainable. You're probably right. Mike saying Russia has the empty arena issue. Yeah, well, nobody's going to go there to see it. That's the other thing. The Olympics bring people from around the world to come as tourism, and that's where you're supposed to make your money back is on all the people, the visitors. But if people don't want to go to Russia because they're boycotting it because they're like war criminals and they're causing like a war that nobody wanted in Ukraine, yeah, they're not going to make that money back. They're not going to make that money back at all. That's right. Wayne saying, wrong, Kareem. Olympics is a racket. Third world countries do not benefit whatsoever. Such tournaments should be where proper infrastructure already exists. Athletes get only 4.1% of revenue earned. That's true. I think everything he's saying there is probably exactly right. Trevor's saying you guys can watch Canada live on CBC TV in Canada versus France. So they put the women's game on right now on live on TV. That's good. All right, shape up, CBC. Put more basketball on your CBC on the free channel, please. Mike saying Brazil had debt issues after them doing it too. Yeah, I could tell. Like Brazil's was a fiasco. They had a couple different things go wrong down there. Some safety concerns, some scandals during the Olympics when they were down there for Rio. Let's see. Mike saying Masai told Thad on the phone, "You're coming to help Siakam and Fred lead." That was for a different team than we are on now. Temple can set his own way now, so it's having more impact, I believe. I won't disagree with what you're saying, Mike. And it's just the de facto baton was given to, this is our new vet, Garrett Temple. Thank you, Thaddeus. And he's on his way to Phoenix. Yeah. Trevor's saying RJ and Maury and the crew at the game supporting the girls. RJ and Maury? Maury? You mean Maury Povich? No, you mean Murray. You said Murray, but it sounds like Maury when they translate it from your voice. Okay, so Jamal Murray and RJ Barrett at the game supporting the girls. Well, the women were at the game for us too. The whole Canadian senior women's team was in the crowd for the Greece versus Canada game on Saturday. Really cool to see Kia Nurse and Bridget Carlton and them there. Angry Mexican saying, is Jamal Murray full healthy and will he be playing meaningful minutes versus Australia? I can't say for sure. I don't think he's fully healthy from what I saw on Saturday. That may be part of the reason why he's not going to be starting. and maybe part of the reason why he doesn't play as many minutes as the other guys. But I don't know. We'll have to see. It could very well be, Hornets fan, that Jamal Murray shows up and he looks real good and he's scoring like crazy for us against Australia. We'll have to see. I have no idea. I can't predict with Murray because in some ways he hasn't played with this team enough for me to understand exactly what his role is. And also his health is so dubious. So he could show up and he could drop 25 on Australia tomorrow for all I know. And he could also show up and just add a little bit off the bench also. I don't know. We'll have to see. Quantum boss taking change, prevent dying too early is here once again. Good to see my interestingly named friend, recent sub. Good to see him. Read receipt. Grady looks like when preseason starts as 2.5 months to a muscle. All right, there's some interesting bulking up going on around the league right now. In particular, Tyrese Maxey showed up to a press conference with Philadelphia, and he looked jacked. He had these crazy-ass shoulders and arms all of a sudden. And people in the comments went crazy saying, whoa, what are you doing, Tyrese? Are you taking the juice? Is something going on there? Because you look extra strong. Well, he probably did take something, but it may not be illegal. But you know what? They tested him afterwards. Yeah, they saw all the comments. The NBA saw all the comments on Tyrese Maxey's little post and how he looked from the summer. And they went and tested him, he said, on Twitter. Now, I'm wondering because Emmanuel has the same kind of bulk buildup. Did both these Kentucky Wildcats have a similar hookup to help them get the extra muscle on the summer? Whatever's doing, they're working hard. I know they are. And whatever they're using, I'm sure is legal and not illegal because they're smart. They're not going to take something that's going to get them a drug test that's going to get them in trouble. If Maxey understands, they might come and test them. So I would say the same thing that happened to Maxey this summer happened to Quickly. It may have even happened to Grady too, because Grady looks like he has some extra muscle too, doesn't he? Quantum boss taking change. Yeah, some change in these young men's bodies because they looking more muscular. That's for sure. Yeah. Wayne's saying money makes sense for Chris to remain here. His longevity so far and being at home, $3 to $5 million allows him to maintain his lifestyle and not diminish his pension lifestyle. Crisper passes, and we good. Yeah, I just want to see him be more involved in the passing around of the offense. I just want to see that. And if he makes more of his threes, I mean, he's been showing putting the ball on the floor kind of dribble drive in this summer in some of the games he's been playing. That's the new thing he's been doing. He did a little bit of it in the last couple of years, but there's more and more of Chris putting the ball on the floor and dribbling and trying to drive in this stuff he's been doing. Now, I think that him and Scott are such good friends that if Scotty told Masai, I want you to try and keep Chris as much as possible, and Chris was willing to work with us on the salary cap as far as how much you pay, he could be very valuable. Now, the thing about Chris Boucher is I know a lot of people last season were calling out, why isn't Chris playing? Why isn't Chris playing? Well, in some ways, we got to let Darko use his team as he wants to. Some of y'all may have thought that Chris may have been a better choice over some of the 905 guys, and you were right. You were exactly right. But also at the same time, what were we trying to do at that point when Scotty and Jakob were out? And in some ways, are we trying to win? Maybe Chris would help us win in some of those situations. So when they use Chris Boucher the way they use him this season coming up, just allow Darko to use him as he wants to. If he's out of the rotation, he's out of the rotation. If he's playing, he's playing. And just let the coach the team is what I'm saying on that. Yeah, right there. Yeah. I think it makes sense for Chris. If he values being in Canada as a Canadian and not being down there, well, take less money and stay on the Raptors as long as you can. Seriously. Mike's saying Chris is paid in U.S. dollars. If he's spending just in Canada and using the Raptor services they offer in the summer, he's spending very little. Yeah, he may have figured that all out. You know, that there really is a racket in some ways. It's a myth that, you know, getting paid and playing over here is worse for you. No, it's actually, there's all kinds of benefits being in Canada, being paid in U.S. dollars. There really, really is. And Mike's exactly right. Now, I got that feeling because every time Chris came around to being a free agent and listening to him on Twitch and also in his Hustle Play podcast they used to do, he didn't seem like he was real keen on trying to go somewhere else and try and start things somewhere else and go to another team. He understands you go to another team, you're dealing with a new set of people, coaches, front office, and other players on your team. And just like Damon Stoudemire found out, going home wasn't the best thing for him going from Toronto to Portland because of where he went. In some ways, he understands where he's at here in Toronto. And he goes somewhere else like Orlando or Charlotte or any other team in the NBA. Yeah, he may not be happy. And at least he knows he's happy here is what I would say right there. Yeah. Randolph saying, Lex, France is running away with the game in the second quarter, 36-18. Canada has not scored in over 5 minutes. That's no good. Get it going. Come on now, Canadian women. Get going against France. Who knows? There may be a big comeback still, but that's no good. They doubled up. That's no good. That's no good. Mike's saying direct sources of info. Cut down the telephone tag misinformation. Get it from the horse's mouth, and you should be fine. Those are great tips for how to get around misinformation and the bullshit out there today. Good stuff by Mike there. Yeah. He's also saying Team Canada gets money from Bell to have the games on TSN. We need that money. Okay, so that's part of the arrangement, the deal. Man, these sports are not funded well. Canada as a country does not fund their Olympic athletes correctly. In some ways, other countries go above and beyond and help people. Some of the lesser known sports and some of these young women and men that are playing in them, they do not get the proper economic funding. In fact, they're paying out of their money, out of their wallets for some of this stuff. So in some ways, I don't like how Canada does not favor sports. In some ways, we've been a country that's very much been sports are not important. They're just like extra. In some ways, that pisses me off because we are a good country. And I think about all the years Canada has not been good in sports where we could have if we had actually put investment in the infrastructure and the sports we're doing. We do it for hockey. And we see where hockey gets, but we won't give the hockey treatment to any other sports. And that's a huge problem in this country. In some ways, people are already talking about how they shouldn't fund anything for soccer now because of this drone scandal. And that's not the right direction. Trust me. There's all kinds of young men and women that are at the Olympics right now that are Canadian athletes in various sports that are underfunded in general. And it could be all the way to the young lady who won the bronze in fencing to any of these teams that are over there right now. Most of them are underfunded in comparison to other countries. And that's why money from TV deals and stuff like that is important. And if these people are horrible at their job, the marketing people around Team Canada, get the money coming in from the advertisers. Get the money coming in from the TV deals and quit sitting on your ass and fund your programs. Some Canadians are like, well, sports aren't important. I'm about arts and culture and school and stuff like that. And sports are just extracurricular. Bullshit. Sports are important because they teach people morals. They teach people how to be good athletes. They're good for the mind and the soul. And people that think that sports poo-poo them because, it's meatheads and athletes. Well, you go ahead, eggheads and intellectuals in Canada. Think that sports aren't important. Well, our athletes are getting better and we should support them is what I'm saying. That's what we should be doing right there. That's right. That is right. Quantum saying Carlson needs muscles too this summer for sure. For sure. He very much needs some muscles. You're exactly right. Mike's saying Carlson is like a new Boucher in a sense. Older two-way, converted quicker into a rotation piece. I don't see the parallels there. He's a true center, and he has size that he'll be able to grow into where he can hold himself down low. He can't yet, but he will be there at some point. The test will start on the 905 level. I want to see how he can be as a pivot on that level and holding space in the lane. And, he gets good at holding the easier competition, the G League. Let's see how he does getting more and more as he grows his body over the years with muscle. And then maybe he can start holding people like Draymond Green. Yeah. Let's see. Mike's saying also having NBA players in the program requires better trainers, better facilities, better coaches, better housing aboard and travel. NBA teams won't let their players come if they aren't being looked after. Yeah, I agree. That's true. All right, let me make sure I didn't miss anything on today's stream today. They did an off-season survey, the NBA off-season survey, and they are asking the coaches and the scouts, and they're saying that one of the worst moves of the summer is the Kings getting DeMar DeRozan. I mean, I don't know. I'm mystified by it too. It's funny. We had a Kings fan in Scotty's Twitch on Saturday night talking all this trash in there. And me and Tristan Trey were going after him. Tristan, big ups to you. I'm going to give you a dunk, actually. I got to remember to give you a dunk for you fighting alongside with me against this dumbass Kings fan who's out of pocket, talking all this trash to Scotty, saying that, Scotty, you're not going to ever win in Toronto. You should just come to the Kings. And I said, when have you ever won in the Kings? Seriously. You won in the Kings in like the 1950s when you were in like Kansas City or Rochester or some shit like that. Tristan, you got the Kyle Lowry 7 for standing up with me against the Kings fan. But yeah, this survey on ESPN is kind of silly. There's a lot of dumb stuff. Like some of them think that Paul George is the best move. And then some people think Paul George is the worst move. So once again, it's just a dumb article that doesn't mean jack shit. And they don't mention anything about the Raptors on here whatsoever. There's nothing on here about any of the moves that we did. So good. Keep our name out of your mouth is what I'll say right there. Yeah, Will Smith. All right, here we go. Here's the birthdays for today. Happy birthday to former Raptor Tony Brown. Tony Brown, I think he was either a coach or did he play for us? I'm not even totally sure. And a former assistant coach for the Raptors, Bob Kloppingberg. And I'm pretty sure he's passed away. But happy birthday to Bob, who would have been turning today 96. Yeah, 96 years old. Former assistant coach of the Raptors, Bob Kloppenberg, and Tony Brown. That's how in depth we are on this channel. We're saying happy birthday to people like that. Uh-oh, somebody has done something bad in my okay, there we go. Yeah, that's got to go. Remove that. There we go. All right, let's see. Is that all I got to talk about? Yeah. All right, let's finish up, y'all. All right, we got to do the classic card, and we're going to get out of here. Let's see. Trevor's saying first Canada women won a gold medal in judo at the Olympics. That's really cool. I like that. If Canadian athletes are doing better and better every year, that's awesome. And Quantum's saying, I help athletes' performance. Okay, so that's why your name is that. Very, very cool. And Blackhawk's checking it. All right, classic card of the day, guys. Whoever writes it in first will get the points. Full name, please. And we'll see if anybody gets this card today. Here's the card today. I'm going to come up close because it is a little bit difficult. And let's see if you guys can get this guy. Now, I had this hoop set, so I know all these cards by heart. You may have had this set because it's a very popular basketball card set from around 1990. If you have this card and you know who this player is, please write it in. You will get some points. And if this takes a long time and you struggle with it, you'll get more points. But if somebody can get this right away, well, I'll give you the points. This is going to be tough. Let's see if Smooth's around here. There we go. Smooth did get it. He was right. It is Ron Anderson. Good job. Smooth Brown Man getting the obscure Sixer from back around that time at Barkley. And you can see he wasn't totally a horrible player. He averaged that year of this card 16 points, 1,300 points. Look at Smooth Brown Man getting this. You know what? I think this is a pretty tough card, so I'm going to give you 100 points. I'm not going to give you just the regular 50. But yeah, that's Ron Anderson. Used to play for the Sixers. Anybody talk about Ron Anderson ever since? No. I think he's actually related to Willie, guys. I'm not totally sure. Does it say it somewhere on there? Maybe not. Yeah. Ron Anderson. There you go. Boom goes a dynamite. Smooth Brown Man. Undefeated on the classic card. Wayne saying, talking trades and moves. Dumbest is Kawhi Leonard. Paul George, the big trade ask, it was a bust. Yeah, I would totally say this. One of the worst trades in the history of the NBA was the trade for Paul George to the Clippers. Now, they're talking about the moves this summer. They're not talking about Paul George from the Clippers from the Thunder to the Clippers. They're talking about the Sixers signing Paul George. Some GMs have said that was the best move this summer, and some GMs have said that's the worst move this summer. So that's interesting. Some of the people are actually saying the Paul George signing by the Sixers was the worst move this summer. So I agree. One of the worst trades in NBA history was trading Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and a bunch of draft picks to the Oklahoma City Thunder by the Clippers just to appease Kawhi Leonard and this failed experiment that they tried to do in the Clippers, Steve Ballmer. There's a very good stunted growth that just came out in the last couple months about this. Why did the Clippers fail in the 5-minute window, the 5-year window of Kawhi Leonard and Paul George being together? If that's what Kawhi wanted to win, well, it never happened. It's very interesting. You know, Paul George said in an interview recently, his playoff P whatever podcast, that he was actually ready to come to Toronto. He would have came to Toronto if Masai had pulled the trigger on that deal, bringing him and Westbrook here. That rumored deal that we heard about was real, and that Paul George had been talking to Kawhi about coming up to Toronto and being with him here. The whole thing Kawhi wanted was he wanted to play with Paul George. In some ways, that mattered to him more than going back to LA. That's the weird thing after it. He's like, I just want to play with Paul. I don't know why. I just want to play with Paul. And if he can come and play here in Toronto, I'll stay. Well, Masai wasn't about to try and trade all these players that he would have had to trade like the Clippers did to get Paul George. So he avoided that mess that the Clippers made with it and to appease Kawhi. So I appreciate Ujiri saying no to Leonard and what he wished at that time. Because in some ways, some of the fans may be like, what are you talking about, Lex? we would have had Kawhi here and we could have won. I don't know if we would have won, because think about all the players we would have had to send to Oklahoma City to get Paul George at the time. And I don't think it would have been worth it. And we would have had the same kind of thing that happened with the Clippers. First of all, we won our first championship. And when Kawhi says, I don't think that the Raptors are good enough to repeat, it's not just that he thinks that he doesn't think the team's good enough. He thinks the league will not let us repeat. In some ways, that would have been the truth about it. I think the team was good enough to repeat. And if he had stuck around, we could have. But in some ways, it would have been harder, because the NBA would have put way more roadblocks and different things in front of us to try and stop us from repeating, because that's not what they want. So there's a lot of different levels to this right there. Yeah. And Seymour saying, what the F with that cop mustache? Well, it was the 80s, man. And you got to remember, Police Academy was on TV. And there was a guy named Hightower, and he was played by Bubba Smith. And he'd walk around and he would do hijinks as a police officer, a very, very tall police officer. And there was that lady who had the squeaky voice, and then she'd get real mad and she'd yell. And there's Steve Guttenberg, who played, what was his name in the show? Mahoney. Yeah, the Harris, Captain Harris would get real mad at Mahoney, and he'd be yelling, Mahoney. You remember that one time he's in the shower and he's like showering, and they put glue in his shower, and he's like rubbing his hair. He's like, he's like singing. He's all happy. And then like his hands are stuck to his head, and he's like, Mahoney. That's what the Bubba Smith Hightower mustache makes me think of, is Police Academy. Police Academy, yes. Mike's saying you can't buy championships in the NBA or the NHL based on the salary cap. Boom goes the dynamite. You especially can't now. You may have been able to maybe about 10 years ago and before that, but not at this point. No, you can't. Not at this point. Boom goes the dynamite. Seymour saying, how's the league not at the Sixers' neck with tampering? PG-13 and Embiid were on TV at the what? Hang on. At the finals together, then signs with them. Suspicious. There's all kinds of this kind of stuff going on. I don't trust anybody coming up to Scotty and talking to him. I really don't. I see footage of like Jamal Crawford. I see footage of like Grant Hill or Reggie Miller going up to Scotty and saying, hi, it's good to see you. Good to talk to you, and all this kind of stuff. And I worry that these guys are saying stupid shit like, yeah, you go ahead and do your thing in Toronto, but get out of there when you can. I don't want people like talking to Scott like that. I don't think he listens to them. I think he really does understand Toronto's his thing, and he's taken to it so well. He loves our city. He's a part of a condo being built at Bathurst. In some ways, it's like Scott understands that, like, in some ways, he could be like an icon and the most important player in the history of the Raptors if he really does this right. So I don't know how many people are in his ear trying to say certain things or tampering. That would bother me. But the fact that he just signed a 5-year extension with us, that says that he's all right with being in Toronto right there. That says it right there. Yeah, let's see. Trevor's saying we're catching up, 38-23 in the third. Okay. So it's still about a 15-point lead, but it's not looking as bad. Quantum's saying that was the best move by Masai, not trading for George. Yeah, I think he would have stepped in it, and it would have looked really bad. And in some ways, it would have hurt us in the years since. I don't really want Paul George on my team. I listened to what Patrick Beverley said about him recently, about how he is unaccountable for his mistakes on the court. He's just blind to them. He's just like, he's at the point where he's like, I'm untouchable. You can't criticize me about how I play. It's like Patrick Beverley said, look, he's on the Clippers with him. He said, you missed that assignment right there. And Paul George's like, what are you talking about? I made that assignment. He's like, dude, you can't even talk to him. You can't tell him what he's doing wrong, is what Patrick Beverley said about Paul George. And part of the reason why he's unsuccessful in his career is because he just blindly thinks he's doing everything right. And when somebody on the team comes to him and says, hey, you missed your assignment, he's denying it. There's a little insight to something about Paul George from a little yappy dog who just went off to another country and won't be playing in the NBA anymore. Yeah. Cool Cat saying Kia Nurse shooting has dropped way off since her return from injury in WNBA and the Olympics. That's too bad. She is getting up there, and, it takes a little bit of time to heal. In some ways, maybe she's spending too much time broadcasting, and maybe she needs to focus on her rehab and getting back, because that's got to be a grind, doing double duty of doing the broadcasting career she's doing and still trying to be an active pro player. And in some ways, that may be what's not doing a good service, right? And Mo wants me to get off the stream. She probably wants to get off too. Mike saying, laughing my ass off. Clipper fans were crying about not trading for Siakam. Laugh out loud. No, not gonna lie, Kawhi picked the wrong partner. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I question everything about Kawhi's judgment, honestly. I mean, he's ridiculous. The whole idea that he just had to play with Paul George at that summer of 2019 is so dumb, man. And if he's going to have a regret, maybe it's the regret that he wanted to play with Paul George so bad. Yeah, Seymour saying Montrezl Harrell called out Paul George's defensive lapse as well. Yeah, and this is what happened. Beverly and Montrezl were on that team helping them with defense, and they got traded away or let go. Like that stunted growth for the Clippers and their decline since they got Leonard is amazing. It really spells it all out. It talks about every little part why they failed and why they didn't get anywhere during the time of Kawhi so far on the Clippers. Yeah. They had really good players when he first showed up there. That first team the Clippers had, which had Harrell, they had Beverly, they had Lou Williams as their sixth man, was really good. Really, really good. And they fumbled. They fumbled right from the start, and their team got worse and worse as the years go on. And now, who is there? They lost two of their four little LA Clippers. Westbrook's on the Nuggets, and Paul George is in Philly. And now it's just going to be Kawhi and James Harden? This is going to feel a lot like Brooklyn a couple years ago when it was just Kevin Durant and James Harden all of a sudden. That's right. Kawhi gets to play with James still. Hey, all right. Woo, get excited about that. Seymour said missing assignments, but won't miss them boat trips with all them half-naked ladies. Yikes. And Mike saying Lowry, Westbrook, George, Kawhi, Gasol, Bench, Powell, Ibaka, Boucher wouldn't have been a great team. Wouldn't have been a great team? What do you mean? Of course. Oh, no, with Westbrook and George. Yeah, I agree with that. All right, y'all. Thanks for watching me today. Please like, comment, subscribe, and share. Tomorrow I'll be up very early to call the game, Canada versus Australia. I hope you guys can all be there too. And check it out and listen to my stream for a little while, my crazy-ass call for Australia versus Canada. Let's go, Canada. Let's beat Josh Giddey and the Boomer team there from Australia, upstart team that may be our biggest threat in our group. We need to take them very seriously. Coach Fernandez is a very serious man, and he's going to have our Canadian senior men's team prepared correctly to take it to Australia tomorrow morning, I'm sure. So I hope you'll come and join me and listen to my call. All right, y'all. Thanks for watching. Get out there, touch grass. It's Monday. All right, Garfield. Bah humbug. Eat some lasagna and get out in the yard and do some yard work, or just have some fun, or be good with your day. Raptorize your day in a fantastic way, like Nab Bhatia would. Share the love for the people in your life, as Raptor Freaks have been saying. All right, y'all. Thanks for watching me. Please like, comment, subscribe, and let's win Team Canada. Let's go Raptors too. All right, let's go, baby. Woo!